What is happening? What is happening? How am I having... Oh, I have multiple windows over it. Always, there always has to be something. Always has to be something screwing up my beginning of my stream here. I didn't realize, because when I change windows, everything activates, all things. Oh, so anyway, here we are. Welcome. Man, what a week, people. I'm exhausted. I'm fucking exhausted. But you people, you want a freaking looking at this goddamn trailer. I know that's what you all want. Me to look at this trailer. By the way, these trailers, they didn't really have very much. I mean, I'm gonna be struggling for things to say here because they did not show very much on the trailers. And by the way, God, this whole theme thing. Okay, let's go back to the beginning here. Let's look at this stuff. Okay, now in case you're wondering, I've angled this just and even though I'm going frame by frame, this is all for so not to get copyright struck, but I'm going to be going frame by frame anyway, so it doesn't matter. So the trailer has a trailer, which seems to be a thing in modernity. The all must choose fucking thing. Okay. What an insult. What an insult to the entire to the entire series of Ice and Fire, that a story about how tribalism and factions produce useless war, and they decide that the best way to market this is that to try to get their fans to choose whether the Black faction or Team Jacob or whatever. And this is what's even sadder. Fucking this, man. Have you guys read Not a Blog this week? Oh my God. Let me see if I can. Where is it? Did I not? Yeah, no, come on. Where's Not a Blog? Is it? Here it is. Oh my God. Got all this shit going around. Okay, Not a Blog this week. Yeah, his freaking Cowboy Awards picked Dark Winds as the best show last year, which seems kind of ridiculous that you have an award ceremony for cowboy themed shows, like westerns, like how many westerns are on TV right now? So yeah, 2, 3. Anyway, Dark Winds won for some reason. I mean, it's not really Western, but it's in the Southwest, whatever. Dueling trailers. You've been clamoring for new trailers for House of the Dragon for season 2 of House of the Dragon. Max heard you. They've delivered 2 of them, a green trailer and a black trailer. All men must choose. What team are you, black or green? Was this part of your fucking contract, George? Did you have to do this? Does a man with nearly, hundreds of millions of dollars, does he need to jump when people say jump like the rest of us? I mean, I don't. Just poor George, right? It's got to put that on his blog. Okay. All right, here we go. The trailer for the trailer. So we get Daemon, and then we get, one of the Cargyle twins fighting. So obviously, the things we know that are happening this season are, of course, Stonehenge and Burning Mill, Daemon taking Harrenhal, and then Stonehenge and Burning Mill. And when I say that, if you're not familiar too much, it's just Daemon has a whole campaign in the Riverlands where he takes it, and then later Aegon takes it from Daemon, or Aemond takes it from. I mean, Aegon does, but Aemond specifically takes it from Daemon. Daemon abandons it, but and then So we have like essentially the Riverland campaign, the Riverland front that we know that's going to be happening this season, and then we have the Cracklaw Point front, which we know is going to be happening this season. We talk about like Rosby and Stokeworth, Duskendale, Rook's Rest being the big climax, or I don't know if it's going to be climax. We know what happens at Rook's Rest. We know that there's some deaths, and we know that after there's we have scenes of funerals, so we know that that's going to happen. We know that Blood and Cheese is happening this season. We know that the sowing of the dragon seeds, like getting dragon seeds, and we know that the duel of the Cargyle twin, the Cargyle assassination attempt is going to happen. So, and then what's up in the air is like, will it all end with the gullet? Probably. If Rook's Rest is not the end, you've got to end with something. So it's probably the gullet is going to be the ending here. So here we know that the Cargill assassination attempt happens. What's funny is that with the exception of Rook's Rest, and which is very significant because lots of people die and Aegon gets killed. I mean, it gets injured. Aegon doesn't get killed. And the gullet, which is very significant. The other stuff like the Cargill assassination attempt. Yeah, that's an interesting little like tale. Doesn't affect the plot, doesn't affect the story at all. Like, these guys have no impact on anything. The Riverlands campaign also doesn't really have any impact on anything. So neither really does Stokeworth and Duskendale. So it's a lot of stuff that isn't really important. It could be cut, but it's here to give content. So then we get some dragons that looks to be Caraxes. He seems to be in the rain. We know nothing about any of these things happening during storms, unlike say the fight over Storm's End. But it's easier to animate when you've got some atmosphere and stuff like that to make it look more real. Stuff in broad daylight looks more fake with regards to. So my trailer for a trailer. The black trailer starts now. Okay. So we get this dragon coming in. We got a bunch. Our leads are Rhaenyra and Alicent, but Rhaenyra and Alicent in Truth and Fire and Blood do nothing during this period of time. And so they're going to have a lot of talk about this. In the books, Rhaenyra is just hurt and injured and she's been hurt from her childbirth. And she's just trying to get better. And that's it. There's description of nothing. Rhaenyra does nothing. So but she's the lead. So you got to give her time. So what you going to do? What you going to do? This is probably a funeral for Lucerys. If I'm guessing. Some fire, people feeling sad. Got to be that, right? And then there were some weird spy photos and scenes we saw of Rhaenyra talking to some of the dragon seeds on beaches. I'm not sure if this is that. It looks like that could be Syrax, but and that might be like Adam of Hull or something. It was like Syrax and sea smokes on a beach. Anyway, we got some Iron Throne people coming in. Aegon being a dick. They've decided to, quickly make Aegon into a dick. I mean, he was a dick before, but, really push that. The only relevance of him being a dick is the fact that he's going to fire Otto. This season, I guess he orders the Cargill assassination attempt. That's a dick move, but it's of no consequence. Here's some people just, what is that? Rhaenyra somewhere. Rhaenyra walking. And then we get to the north. We know that Jace meets with the Starks in the north. For the Pact of Ice and Fire. The Pact of Ice and Fire, despite its name, is also of not much consequence. It's of consequence in the sense that like at the end of the war, Cregan Stark comes in and like takes over and claims that it's because he was aligned with Rhaenyra. He sends winter wolves in the middle of the war, but again, the winter wolves don't really, there's not much consequence to that either. I mean, I suppose in Kristen Cole dying, I guess this is relevant in Kristen Cole dying, but the North plot, as I have an entire video over how Cregan Stark did jack all, but we get this. That was, hopefully they'll add some, it'll be interesting, add Sarah Snow or whatever, the whole Jace romance plot or whatever. More Rhaenyra, her having dinner, talking to people, them trying to give some screen time to Rhaenys and Rayla and Bela. People talking. Now, Daemon being there is unusual. Because he's supposed to go take Harrenhal, and then he's on a Riverlands campaign, and he's pretty much there for the entire war. He's in the Riverlands pretty much for the entire war. Now, I guess he comes back to help with the conquest of King's Landing, but then he goes back out again into the field. Him being there is kind of weird. He's not. He does his loyal, like, going off to war thing and then never sees Rhaenyra again, really. What is happening?
What the fuck is up with your microphone today? What the hell?
What are you talking about, man? Is my mic off?
Your mic's a bit off. Have you checked the settings on your eCam to make sure you're coming in through your Yeti instead of the...
It says it's coming through Yeti, man.
Oh, weird. All right. Never mind. Maybe it's just me.
What? I mean, do I sound weird right now?
Yeah, you sound all right. By the way, you can just go through my video because I do the same. I literally break it down one at a time.
Oh, rather than yeah, but then I'll bias myself, man. Some other people are saying Mike is way off. I don't know. Yes, it's loud.
By the way, I have a fucking
lower the
bone
gain
with you.
Maybe it's just too close. These things like Carmine tried microphone is fine. I don't fucking know.
By the way, I have a
the thing is when I do things by myself, everything's fine, and then people tell me to do little changes. Carmine was like, hey, you should start doing your live streams in 1080, and I was like, okay, fine, we'll see how it goes. But you
look amazing. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I was doing stuff before, it was fine, but maybe it's all fucking up my mics now. I don't know. I have no idea.
By the way, I saw you won with Amber, and I have a fucking bone to pick with you.
What did I do with that?
You son of a bitch. You go and you never wear headphones with me, and it always like fucks up on my end when I'm editing this shit. But with Amber, you wear fucking headphones. What the fuck is this?
Oh, there was a lot of fucking problems with Amber's. I had to. First of all, like with Amber, I couldn't even see myself, and so she was recording through Discord while my video and audio is being recorded through her conference video thing. So like there was a million things wrong. Like it was held together with duct tape. Don't worry.
You know what it is? It's because you're on fucking Mac, man. I never have these issues with any other like PC guy ever have these issues. I'm sorry. I'm taking you away from the greens and the blacks trailer.
You must choose. Carmine's is team. He's team green. I'm team
whoever. I'm everyone's friend. I'm team whoever.
He's team Game and Pale Hair. Team Game and Pale Hair. I am that's who I supported the entire time. Like I said, there's not much here. Who's this dude? Is this dude anybody?
Freddie Fox. He's playing Gwaine Hightower, who in the books, Gwaine Hightower does
Oh,
not
I see
have
the
that much
Hightower
of a.
there.
Yeah, Gwaine doesn't have that much of a story. He's put in charge of the City Watch to keep an eye on them because they may belong to Daemon still, and then he still gets murked by the City Watch. That's correct, right? That's Gwaine, right?
Well, I don't see his name. I mean, I do see Hightower there, so it's probably.
No, that's Freddie Fox. The actor is playing Gwaine Hightower. It's confirmed.
I
I'm
don't
talking
know who
about
fucking. I
Gwaine.
don't know who fucking Freddie Fox is.
I'm talking about Gwaine Hightower in the story. Doesn't really
Oh
have that much like major importance, but I'm
no,
assuming
no.
because
And the funny thing, I mean, so I mean, George fucks up with the timeline where like all of the. I did a whole video on like the Starks taking way too long to get everywhere, and I don't know if that was making Cregan into an asshole. But somebody else pointed out, like, couldn't you make the same argument about the high towers? Yes, you could. Like the high towers also walk insanely slow, and it's like, couldn't you make the same argument about the Stormlanders? Yes, they walk way too slow too. The only people that are worth a lick are the Riverlanders. They're the only ones in this story that. But yeah, but yeah, there's a line later about Corley saying like, "Oh, the Hightowers are on the march," and it's like, well, it's gonna take them a couple of years. So
the show has shown us that when it's time to have everyone jetpack all over the place, they will do it. So
yeah.
But that was Dave and Dan. No, but Gwaine Hightower, I'm assuming they're going to give him more to do because in the book material he didn't have that much. Same with like Alicent and Corlys in the early stages of the war. Everyone's kind of not doing anything. Anyone without dragons isn't really doing anything. So
even the people with dragons aren't doing anything. No one's fucking doing anything in the war except for Daemon and Aemond. And then like, you know, Rhaenys comes in for a second. Rhaenys and Aegon come in for a second and then just get like immediately hurt. Everybody else is just fucking holding their dicks. Okay. No one's doing jack in this war. Oh, so there's Aemond actually doing something.
It's why I'm afraid how that they're really gonna. We discussed this with Trey. They're probably gonna take a good chunk of like the starting thing because I'm assuming season 2 is gonna have a lot, but because HBO has no lineup, they're probably gonna split what was gonna be in season 2 into 2 seasons, 2 and 3. So,
so like, a lot of time given to Otto in this trailer, considering that like he's supposed to be kicked out and does nothing for most of the war, you know. But I suppose I'm trying to think when he's kicked out. He's kicked out after the after he sends envoys and they don't do anything. I suppose. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's got some time. All right, so we got Corlys. He's got his cane. They want to make him look all, I don't know, pimpin'. I'm just thinking. You know, that's why I just think about canes. It's nothing to do with the fact that he's black. It's just the cane. Horses. And then this is interesting, is giving all this dragon time to Moondancer. Because she doesn't do anything until the very end of the war. And but they want to give her some screen time. More Rhaenyra. And there's our lady, Rhaenys, who, if they really want the Rook's Rest to have impact, better give her a lot more things to do. All she did season 1 is like give speeches, right? She gave a lot of speeches.
Yes, that was my whole thing. I always hated the pompadour. Never liked the whole poof haircut she got.
More battles.
Daemon and Harrenhal.
Yeah, I guess so. The thing is you know, they're probably going to change it, but Daemon takes Harrenhal easily. It was abandoned. And then Aemond takes it easily because it's abandoned. So maybe they'll make it into a bit more of a fight, but to make it more exciting. But he takes both, and then and this is the funeral thing for after
And your boy Tim
Jaehaerys.
Pool up front and center.
Yeah, Tim Pool. Tim Pool's right there. Tim
Where
Pool.
is he? Show me again. Show me again where Tim Pool is.
What?
Show me again where's Tim Pool?
Oh gosh. Tim Pool is right. You're gonna get me. Tim Pool's right. He's right here. This is
right in front of Allison. That's Tim Pool.
Yeah, right in front of Allison. That's Tim Pool.
Confused the fuck out of me when you first said it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Tim Pool?
and then this must be him in the Riverlands saying, like, you know, Burning Mill, Stonehenge, saying everyone should and then what is Aegon doing with a sword? I don't know. He's killing somebody. I don't know what he doesn't really do.
Looks
anything.
like the dungeon, and this is probably when they caught either blood or cheese. I forget which one gets caught and which one escapes, but it's probably him fucking them up.
Yeah. I mean, blood gets caught, but yeah.
So it's probably him fucking up blood.
Yeah, and then you know, get some more, and then the Cargyle fights, and then Rhaenyra doing nothing, and more fights in the rain, and that's it. Okay.
Go back to that real quick of
fight in the rain?
Caraxes. Yeah. They got night shots down. Looks better.
Yeah, but I was saying that, like, they have to do the night shots because the CGI is easier to do when it's dark and when there's, like, atmosphere and stuff to it just looks better. All right, before I go on to the green trailer, which I don't know if it has anything you know that useful. Let me answer some super chats. I don't want to get too far behind. What's up with Maester's names? They're so wildly unique, except for the Maesters that are known to come from great houses. That's a very interesting point, and I've thought about this a bit, because they do have these weird freaking names that you don't find on other people. Like, you know, I want to say, like, what like Heroin or something, or Archmaesters of the Citadel. Like, here's some of the names that we're looking at: Agravain, Castos, Cytheris, Ebros, Gallard, Garazon, Herodon. In fact, like the ones that are kind of even normal are Marwyn. I mean, you can count on your hand the ones that are normal. You know, Benedict maybe, Marwyn, Ryam, Theobald, you know. But for the most part, they're pretty weird, right? Zarabello, Ockley, and, you know, so, and it's odd because Lady Dustin actually says, even though they drop their last name, that you can somehow figure out where they're from if based on their other names, and which, you know, maybe you're like, oh, does that mean like Maester Tybalt might be from the Westerlands or something? But, like, it's a very difficult. It's funny that she talks about this game as something you can play, which you can't really figure out where anybody is from. And I think she's doing it maybe to say, like, some people think she's doing it because you're supposed to think about Maester Tybalt being from the Westerlands, or Maester Walgrave being related to Maester Wallace, Archmaester Walgrave being related to Maester Wallace. But other than that, her game is really puzzling that she brings this up. Now, the fact that they have all just these weird names, my only explanation, even though they never mention this, my only explanation is that you can choose to change your name, if you'd like. But why Maesters have such weird names, I have no idea. Because we hear about, you know, Maester John. We hear about normal people like Maester John and you know, Archmaester Ryam, right? So, like, why doesn't everyone change their name? Is it a choice thing? It's so, yeah, I don't. It's a mystery right now, but it's the only explanation I have, is that actually Maesters have the option to change their name at some point, perhaps when they actually forge a chain or something. The acolytes, even have weird names, right? Like Melander, Lorcus. I suppose Aleros, obviously, if we think it's Sorella, that's not his real name. So maybe when you join the Citadel, you take your name. You can take a name then. Just say, who are you? But I always found the entire Citadel kind of ridiculous because shouldn't there be a long line of people looking to join the Citadel? You know, as it seems like a pretty comfortable life. Why wouldn't every second, third son do that? Why wouldn't every starving peasant, you know? So, appreciate your rereads. I reread a Game of Thrones recently and was amazed that like 80% of all core info is laid out in the first 5 chapters, prologue to entered 1, and it doesn't feel forced expo at all. Truly genius. Yeah, no, George does a really good job with his exposition with a Game of Thrones. His other books are unusual in that they begin with a lot of exposition, like way too much exposition. And he does his best to like make it, you know, pretty and whatever, but it's the sort of thing they tell you in like writing classes to not do. They're like, get into the action. Don't begin with some long exposition on the setting. But George begins his stories with long expositions on the setting. So, you know, he does that, but he like tries, he really, really tries to make it entertaining, and well written. But it is something like I've taken a couple like writing courses where, and that's the thing is like, you know, a lot of people come in like wanting to write sci-fi and fantasy, and they're like, okay, well, I have to explain to everyone like the world I live in, like the world we live in, that it's a world with like nanites and everybody has like their own nanoprobes, and I have to explain that somehow. And the people are like, no, you can't just fucking explain it at the beginning because everyone's gonna fall asleep. But it's how Dying of the Light, his book Dying of the Light, begins with this long explanation of what the planet setting is and how it's a planet that, like, you know, it was a rogue planet going into the an area of stars and stuff. And it's, you know, he does his best, but man, it's but yeah, you know, George, I mean, I suppose if you make something, that's the thing, is if you can still pace something and make something beautiful. And, you know, even if it's dry, you can take dry and make it moist. You can moisten it. I can't wait. I'm sure somebody's going to ask me about 3 Body Problem, but there's an example of something that's very dry that D&D made pretty entertaining. And how will Chad, Brandon, and Sweet Robin be able to react to 2 videos, or will you wait for the final trailer for them to have their say? You know, Chad, Brandon, and Sweet Robin, unfortunately, one thing that affects how often they appear is how much free time I have and what else is going on in my life. Also, like, whether I think off the bat there's something they can comment about that's funny or interesting. Honestly, the trailers weren't that interesting or engaging. Like, you know, Carmine and I sat down and had a whole conversation about it, and it's like, what do you say? You know, there's a few things here or there about, you know, yeah, this high tower that has a small role coming in, but I don't know. What do you think, Carmine?
You glossed over a lot of stuff. Like, I have this one dumb fuck in your comments here saying I missed a couple of things. You glossed over quite a bit of stuff, my love.
Like what? What did I gloss over in the Black trailer?
Well, I just came here mid video. Which one were you watching? The green?
I was watching Black. One? I haven't watched green.
Okay.
Yet.
I like you glossed over a lot of stuff. Is the Black one the one where we see the dragon fly over the God's Eye towards Harrenhal?
I forget. I know the scene you're talking about. I think it's in the green one, but yeah, I suppose.
Is it the green one? something I didn't catch when I was doing the breakdowns was the dragon is Rhaenyra's dragon, which means
Mm,
she actually leaves Dragonstone to go to Harrenhal. That's completely new and original.
okay.
Alicent is talking with some lord or another. It might be Larys or it might be some like random lord, but there have been some credible leaks. Nah, I should actually know what. Let me go back on that. Not credible,
Mm.
just some rumors that Alicent may be given up to the old Lord Tully. Was it Kermit?
Oh, as a betrothal.
Yeah. Because she has nothing to do. Gawain Hightower, I'm assuming they're gonna give him shit to do. Like I said earlier, he has almost nothing to do in the material other than getting his ass murked by
Yeah.
the City Watch. Um,
Actually, it's Allison being offered to someone would be smart. I remember way back somebody asked me like, why would you ever betroth Helena to Aegon? Like, aren't you losing out on alliances when you do that? And it's like, well, yes, you are, but you're you're getting, I suppose, in return, incest babies that can ride dragons or something. But it's like, why
even though the
why
faith is so kind of
why would
against it, yeah.
Viserys do that with his kids? And the answer is we don't know. It doesn't really make any sense. Viserys didn't seem very interested in that, but oh well.
Are you talking about the books or the show?
The books.
Oh, the
Yeah,
show, it's very clear Alice runs that ship.
right. But like, why would she want to do it? Like if they're trying, does she want dragons? Does she believes in pure blood of Targaryens producing dragons and the continuation of like a high tower dynasty going on with dragons for generations or something? Like
I hope
what
they expand on that because that's a very good point. Like marrying off Jace to Helena would have made a lot sense, or one of Rhaenyra's other kids to Helena would have made so much sense. But at the same time, the feeling I get is that Alicent is being very petty by doing that, so that Viserys doesn't recommend it. Or I hope they touch on this. My headcanon is that Viserys might have recommended it, and out of pettiness, because she hates Rhaenyra, she just marries Aegon to Helena. That's my
yeah.
headcanon. Falls in line with the
Thoughts on what
character.
changes you expect in season two? I mean, this is what we're talking about with Carmine and I are essentially talking about. The big changes that we're going to see, right, is we're going to see more screen time to Rhaenyra and Alicent, who are two characters that have nothing to do during this time period. Okay, during this time period in Fire and Blood, they do nothing. And so Alicent, yeah, they need to give her a plot. We know that we've seen her like at some weird lake, and Carmine's talking about how maybe they have a plot of her being betrothed to somebody. Rhaenyra, they're gonna have
Rumor.
her flying around on dragons, probably trying to treat with people, stuff like that. They're gonna have her doing a lot of mourning or something, of her kids. It seems that they kept Daemon around with her so that they could have conversations because Daemon's not supposed to be there. Um, I'm trying to think, like what are the big changes they're going to do? I mean, it seems like they're adding more action to Harrenhal because Harrenhal was just taken and then taken, just to give more dragon action. They're adding a big funeral scene. Um, they're adding a big funeral scene after Rook's Rest, and a riot. Right, they're adding a riot after Rook's Rest.
I think Dragon Demands told me there's like two riots or something like
Yeah, there's like
that.
a
So,
bread riot and then an after funeral riot.
mhm.
Um, and then I imagine they're going to expand on Jace's Pact of Ice and Fire. I would expect them to give the Starks more importance to the story than they have in the books.
Did you touch on that when you were going over the Black trailer about how Jace and Cregan? By the way, Jace is sporting that Jon Snow wig. But
Hmm.
did you touch on that how Jace and Cregan are on at the wall?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't see any reason why they would go to the wall, um, but they're there. I
My
imagine they're just
assumption,
yeah.
my assumption would be like Cregan wants to show Jace Because if he wants to really, if Jace really wants that pact, Cregan's thought process might be like, I want to show you all of the North, or what we do here in the North, or so he gives him a bit of a tour, which also doesn't make any sense because there's a fucking war going on.
Right, but I think if we're trying to relate everything back to the dagger and the prophecy, I think I suppose it's important to keep that whole like, we've been losing Rangers and there's weird mystical things going on beyond the wall, or something like that.
Then why wouldn't anyone write that down and pass that down to Ned Stark?
I mean, why didn't Darth Vader go, hey, that's my droid? I mean, there's a lot of fucking things.
Well, no, it's like, well, why did... unless you want to do the mental gymnastics that when Ned says winter is coming, what winter really means is the White Walkers. Aha!
Yeah. But I think that, look, that throwing in the wall is showing off cool setting to bring us back to the series, to the Game of Thrones series. It's to remind us of the prophecy again and the others and things like that, and to make us think, that the blacks are the good guys, which... The show is clearly making the blacks the good guys.
You know what I think is going to happen. This is my theory. I'm putting it in here. I'm locking it in. I'll put money on this.
Oh,
Jace is going to see a white. He's going to be alarmed. He's going to go right back to Rhaenyra, and before he can tell his mother what he's seen at the wall, the Battle of the Gullet happens, where
yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that
tragedy of it.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Mom, before... what's that? They're coming. Let's go, Jace. Something stupid like that. Yeah. He gets cut off.
Or like, they're like, I'd like to go for a ride. Like, I don't know if he's going to bring his dragon, but they could be like, let's go for a ride north of the wall. Yeah, I've always wanted to see what was north of the wall. And they go for a ride, and then they get attacked by a white. And he's like, oh my gosh.
Condal has the opportunity to do the funniest fucking thing where Jace will... what's Jace's dragon? I don't even know the name. It's
Arax?
Dragathon, who cares? He will ride the dragon and he'll try to fly over the wall but can't, because that's what George did in Fire and Blood with Alysanne and her dragon.
Yeah, I suppose.
Really wants to stay as true to the source material as humanly possible, like he has been, and then at the same time hasn't been, which is weird.
Sorry, by the way, Arax was Luke's dragon. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's Vermax. I'm sorry.
Don't you know the books, bro? Come on.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry that I said Arax instead of Vermax. For everyone. Anyway. But yeah, you're saying he could try to go over the wall and then have something weird happen. The thing is, Dany went over the wall, no problem. So it's already established that the wall doesn't mean anything.
But then we had George come out with Fire and Blood after the fact, and he wrote the thing about Alysanne and how her dragon would not go over the wall. So,
who knows? I have to admit, the Three Body Problems show is more colorful and relatable than the books. Never thought D&D would redeem themselves, but here we are. So, having read some of Three Body Problem, I've not read the entire book, but I've read some of it. Three Body Problem, I mean, it's a translation of a Chinese book. And the translation, let's be honest, it's shit. It's shit writing. It's like horrible characters, horrible dialogue, because it's a translation. Okay. D&D fucking spun gold. Okay. It's a fucking great show. Three Body Problem. I have problems. Obviously I have my problems with D&D, but they made a really fucking good show. They made a really fucking good show that's really well paced with really great characters, really great dialogue. That's really fun. Some people say that it doesn't get the heart of the book series, because the book series gives you a feeling of dread, while this is like far too fun. But it's like all the major story beats, even though they changed the plot quite a bit, all the major story beats are there. And when I say story beat, Three Body Problem is essentially just a book series that had a bunch of like concepts that were abstract, and they wanted to shove them into a sci-fi story, and that's it. Like there's no good characterization or anything like that. And watching Three Body Problem, it was great. And like anything that I thought was stupid, where I'm just like, that's fucking stupid. Why did they do that? It comes from the books. So like yeah.
Dave and Dan redemption arc complete.
I mean,
Actually,
I suppose the series isn't over yet, but like,
right, in progress.
It's a masterful season 1. It's fucking great. It's a fucking really good show. It's a really good show. That
ending was really good. That ending, like Benedict Wong.
Yeah. I mean, everything. Like, look, I can make fun of a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in Three Body Problem. Like, for example, like. Like why would a spacefaring civilization that can take a planet-sized computer and shrink it to the size of a proton, why would they have never sent a fucking probe to Earth, the closest star to them, that's fucking 4 light years away, when they live in this chaotic environment and like are like thinking that they're gonna die and like need to find somewhere else? And yeah, you can talk about the fucking dark forest thing, but like it still doesn't fucking make any sense. Like they should have sent a goddamn probe or something. The fact that I think that is explained. Yay sending a message like we're here, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a planet called Earth at that stable star system only 4 light years away, the closest fucking star to us. Like, that's just fucking stupid.
I think they do explain it. I think this is I swear we'll have to ask Amber about this. Did you ask Amber about this?
I did. I talked to her about it. Yeah. She said she also thought it was a bit silly, but the explanation someone would give would be the dark forest thing.
The dark forest, and one more. If their civilization is literally a ticking time bomb to when the next catastrophe happens, don't you think they would want to save as much resources as possible and send out probes to like surefire, like actual concrete evidence that something is there, instead of wasting all this time?
At the closest fucking star? You'd send a probe to the closest fucking star that happens to have a perfect planet for you. I mean, it's like we kind of already, like with our technology, we kind of know what several planets in the Alpha Centauri system look like. We actually know that there is a terrestrial planet in a habitable zone around one of the stars in the Alpha Centauri system. It's probably tidally locked, and like we can't probably live there. But like still, you know, we know that.
So like, did we know that in 2008 when the book was written?
I think we did. There's also some other weird things. So look, there's a million things that I could be like, that's stupid. Like, I mean, the fact that like in the 1970s, a billionaire's son is living in Cultural Revolution China is one of the dumbest like concepts. Like, first of all, like in the early 70s, there was like 3 billionaires, if that, in the world. The fact that like a billionaire's son would be living in Cultural Revolution China is insanity. And that Ye would happen to run into him and have a sexual relationship with him. It's just like, no, that's dumb. That's really fucking dumb. But the plot needed Ye to get infinite money. So there it is, you know, but whatever. Anyway, that's all from the book. The show has none of this. No, the show's fucking great. The show's fucking great.
Dave and Dan did it again. They took something from the book. Well, they didn't do what they did with Game of Thrones the first season, where they fixed a lot of the awkward stuff. Yeah,
but I would say the difference between, I'd say it's a heavier lift, because with Game of Thrones, George had already had a bunch of great dialogue and a bunch of like cool events and everything in it. Like, that doesn't exist in Three Body Problem. Three Body Problem is dry stuff. And they did a lot of jumbling of events, like taking characters from previous books and like blending them in. Like, it was a much harder lift than Game of Thrones. Like, you know, Game of Thrones, they essentially went chapter, scene. Oh, this is where Jon gives Arya a needle. Scene. This is the chapter where Jon gets yelled at by Catalyn. Scene. Like, that's most of season 1. And they did great. but it was a much easier lift than like borrowing dialogue. That's much easier than Three Body Problem. Three Body Problem, like what they did was, it's just masterful, and I have to hand it to them.
Before you move on, did you notice the other Game of Thrones actor? I didn't realize it was him until someone pointed it out for me.
There's a lot of them. There's
Davos Samwell.
There's High Sparrow. Those are the big ones. But then there's Tychonosaurus, the guy who played Ned in the play, and the guard on the beach when Davos and Tyrion come to King's Landing.
There's I'm trying to think more.
Of who else.
One more. You're missing a big guy. We talked about him a while ago. We talked about during the Clash drafts.
Who is it?
When Samwell and the woman's name escapes me, but when Samwell and her go to the Pope is Varys.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Cornell.
Conleth Hill, I think his name is.
Yeah. Because when he has hair, you're just like,
of course.
Right? It's so weird. But yeah. Know your thoughts on Maester, but Royces in general seem important to the story. Thoughts also Red Fever Dream and Bronze John, Yellow Fever. Yeah. No, Bronze John and Bronze Jan is definitely like a connection. There's a lot of characters from Fever Dream where he just changed a little bit. Like going through. There's a whole bunch. I'm trying to think here. There's a I mean, Sour Billy and Sour. Who's the sour one in Ice and Fire? But like, there's a lot of names that are borrowed. Sour Allen, and there's a whole bunch of like. There's one called Yellow Dick, and there's somebody called Yellow something in Fever Dream, and yeah, but and like the name of the river, the Fever River. There's a Fever River in the neck and things like that, and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's not to mention like purple-eyed people. There's clearly kind of an Ashara Dane character in the story. Joshua York is kind of a Rhaegar. It's there's a New Orleans is very clearly like Volantis is kind of based on it. But there's a lot. But yeah, the Royces. I've put a lot of thought into trying to connect what the Royces were up to with, say, Waymar and who's the Royce that joins the Rainbow Guard? Who killed?
Robar?
Yeah.
Robar Royce?
Robar, yeah. You've got Waymar and Robar and Bronzian and you try to make a connection on how this all makes sense, and it doesn't. Like, I think that George just throwing out house names, and he wanted the Royces to be important, and so he throws out one when they can, but to try to make some sort of connection between having Renly be king and Robar Royce being in his Rainbow Guard, and then Waymar being north of the Wall, and being and you could say, well, maybe they know something about the others, but clearly Waymar doesn't know anything about the others. Like, clearly Waymar is a dumbass. So, I would love a good theory on how it all connects. A lot of people ask the question, like, what's up with the Royces? Like, it doesn't make any sense that they're all over the place. No, it doesn't. But I can't see how promoting Renly and Waymar Royce being a dumbass north of the Wall and arranging have anything to do with each other. It just seems like a big coincidence that we keep running into the Royces. But I've certainly thought about it. But I would love to read a nice, well thought out essay on how those Royces all relate to each other, but I don't know if there is one. And then I think the Royces wanted to support Robb during the War of the Five Kings, like, but meanwhile Robar was supporting Renly, like going against your own family on that. Team Black, of course, and no, they're not fictional. So I'm not silly to take sides. Yes. Well, it's of course like the interesting thing about the taking sides as well is, for people that read the books, you know how it all turns out. So it's like being a sports fan for a team that you know is going to lose. Saw episode 1 of Three Body Problem. Premise seems solid, but curious about the detective. He seems slightly off story-wise. I think he's expanded some, and obviously like they've turned all of the different intelligence agencies kind of that are in Three Body Problem kind of all into the same intelligence agency. But I like the character of the detective because he's the closest we get to a real person that we, the viewer, can actually relate to. And it's not that I don't relate to Jin or Will or Jack, but they're all super, super smart. And Davos is fucking crazy. Like, he's just a crazy character. Like, no one has that kind of confidence. And so like you're left with the detective as like the closest thing to a real human being that you can kind of relate to, even though he works for a super secretive intelligence agency. But he's the most normal one out there. So I like him a lot.
This is completely random, but do you know what's the most realistic aspect of the whole show, of the whole series?
What's the most realistic aspect?
The fact that there would be some asshole on Earth encouraging the invasion and an actual cult of people siding against our side. Like, that's the most realistic thing about this whole situation, is that, that would actually happen.
Yeah. In fact, I think that, I mean, people really like the Three Body Problem because there's so many different concepts in it. But you could write a book series on just one of those concepts and go with it. So the fact that like the concept of like there's an alien invasion coming in 400 years, and now there's a whole bunch of human factions who are warring over whether we should fight the aliens or join the aliens or submit to them. That's a book series by itself. Like, that's an incredible book series by itself. Like, and then we never ever get to the point where like the aliens even come because we're dealing with these factions, so that's something. But yeah, but it goes beyond it. It goes beyond it. So how far into Three Body Problem are you, Carmine?
Finished the whole thing.
You did? Okay. You binged it too.
Yes, sir.
And are you as glowing about it as I am?
It was entertaining. Do I think it's like the greatest show of 2024? No, but no. I wouldn't blame someone for saying that. I think it's up there.
But I think in my conversation with Amber, and you can watch my whole conversation over on her channel.
I retweeted it.
Yeah. When I'm sitting here going, okay, what's my criticisms of the show? And like the worst criticisms I can come up with are not all of the characters I connected with is like the worst is the worst I could come up with, right? Like I didn't quite connect to Saul or Augie as much as I connected to Jack and Will. Like that's like the worst I can say. And that's not bad, like it's I don't have any complaints about it, and I'm a complainer. So I don't know. Can you come up with
No.
What complaints do you have about the show?
Not really any that I get. Some of the concepts were a little like you have to go back and rewatch to really like fully get it, like the Sophon stuff where they
Hmm.
supercomputer and like
Yeah, I mean, the Sophon stuff is like that's the thing is like all the silly stuff is the book's fault. Like the Sophon stuff is all from the books. Like it's and I personally think the Sophon idea is a bit silly because you're just like, oh, so you have the Santi essentially has an agent of magic. They have essentially a wizard that can fucking do anything. It can do anything on Earth that you want to advance the plot. Anything. You need a character killed, the Sophon does it. Something to like malfunction and fail. Oh, the Sophon did it. Like you just have that magical wizard that can do anything
and
at any time.
the Sophon also helps people carry out their mission by making them invisible to cameras.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Right.
What the
Right.
fuck?
So like the Sophon is OP'd and it's just to the point where it's just like, well, it's just to advance the plot on whatever the author wants because the Sophon can do it.
Not only is the Sophon overpowered, why don't more people work with the in the books? I know they're called Trisolarians or something like that. What are they called in the show again? Santi?
Well, they're in the original Chinese. They're Santi. So san means three in Chinese, and
Uh-huh.
ti is like shanti, your body. So the race is called the three body, and so like the book. I was even saying this with Amber. Like the book title in Chinese like is called the alien is called Santi. It's not called three body problem in Chinese. It's called Santi.
Mm.
So it's called three body. So it's called like it's referencing the three body problem, but it's also referencing the alien race. Like so that double meaning is lost in the English translation where it's just called three body problem because they're called the Trisolarians. So okay.
By the way, for
Um,
those of you who like this happens with Japanese as well, like Attack on Titan in English, the actual Japanese name of it is Advancing Titans. But no, why wouldn't anyone align with the Sophon and the Shanti? Because the Sophon can basically let you do whatever the fuck you want, and they can probably add a lot of money into your bank account. And there's no problem siding with them because they're
mhm.
going to be here in 400 years. Bro, you're going to be long dead by then. So now why
Right.
side with him? Enjoy your life as much as you can by being rich as fuck and then dying, and who cares? So
Right. I mean,
really,
it's like the entire Republican Party, Like
taking shots already?
I
Spicy
know,
politics already?
right? like, oh, no concern for the next generation? Go for it. I just want my money now. Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
so
no,
true.
there'd be so many people that would be siding with the Santi and like the why not? Whatever opportunists. Because also the Sophon can just add money to people's bank accounts, do whatever the fuck it wants.
Yeah, pretty much. Have you ever seen the movie Don't Look Up?
No, I mean I saw the ending of it.
Dude, that movie pissed me off because that movie is so fucking true. There would be people denying the asteroid and everything, and same thing. Like if this was actually happening, yeah, there would be more
Yeah.
denialism going on in the population that anything is coming.
Yeah, yeah. How much for a shirtless live stream from you? I don't think that's gonna happen.
Preston draws the line at eating pasta on stream, and that's it.
I mean, I did that because it's fairly harmless, but it's like I don't really I don't really need money. It's fine. I don't need to take off my shirt on stream. It's fine. Um. Oh. What's the shit about George posting blue flowers and weird images about King Kong, meaning the words of wisdom is coming? 4 months, something, something. So, they're. So Carmine made a joke about this because he thinks it's ridiculous as well. But there is somebody that took his post, this one, and they said, okay, this one that says words of wisdom, dreams have only one owner at a time. That's why dreamers are lonely. Tags, dreams, writing. So so somebody, was like, oh, words of wisdom. That's winds of winter. He's done. Blue Rose, Lyanna in her tower, whatever. Dream of spring. Dreams writing. He's writing Dream of Spring. Winds of Winter is done. And it's just like, no.
You're forgetting one. I'm trying to find it right now. Someone made a good point about that man in the picture. I'm trying to find him. Someone made a very
Faulkner?
Good point. Where is it? They said, where is this guy? He goes, William Faulkner died July 6th, 1962. So it's basically confirmed that we're getting Winds of Winter around July 6th. Okay.
Yeah. Look. I would love Winds of Winter, but no. Now, some people say, well, okay, George does post hints. Like, for instance, he was posting about Kong. Like when Dance with Dragons was nearing its end, he was posting about like Kong being, being killed and King Kong being killed and things like this. And King Kong was the monkey on his back. He was saying he had a monkey on his back. King Kong was on his back. And so he was posting things like that. And like once he posted that Kong was dead, we got, Dance with Dragons in bookstores like 4 months later. The problem with comparing them is that prior to, like, he was giving lots of updates on A Dance with Dragons and what was going on and his status on that. And you could tell by his like mood and everything on how far along he was. I'll tell you, if George R. R. Martin was near the end of The Winds of Winter, we would know it. He would say, like, I've made lots of great progress. I'm feeling really great. Like, I think I'm going to finish this soon. Like that stuff, that's how he was at the end of A Dance with Dragons. He was kind of saying, I'm almost to the end. Oh, but I've got to do a few rewrites here. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought I was going to, and then, so it became this big thing, but he's radio silent for,
Preston, maybe he's changed in 10 years. Maybe he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah. It's just, I just don't.
Someone was like, "Yeah, it's copium. That's what no winds does to a motherfucker."
Absolutely. I mean, I understand it. Like you want to find hope in the world. I get it. I don't blame you, but I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that. It also just doesn't make sense with like even his his last update on how far he had with his progress and stuff like that, and the number of months have passed. I just don't think that, because he said he still said like last October he was 75% done, and so you think he could like jump and get 25% of his book done in 6 months? No, I don't think that. I don't think that at all. So I'm sorry, but it's just, there's no Winds of Winter. There's no Winds of Winter this year. It's just not. It's not going to happen. But yeah, that was the whole thing on that. But some people are very positive. They got their hope. Who, if anyone, told Sir Mandon to kill Tyrion? So there's a couple theories on this. I would say that theory one is that Mandon Moore was a Kingsguard through and through, and he legitimately saw Tyrion as a threat to Joffrey by himself, and that this was his decision by himself to kill Tyrion. Because a lot of people talk about, like, I think they talk about Mandon having like nothing in his life. He's like married to he's married to duty. At the beginning of Clash, we get a discussion of him. It's Varys tells him something, right? Or is it afterwards? Let's see. There's a few little things about it, about the theory that Mandon Moore. So they said Mandon Moore. So during the riot, this is during the riot. They say, Sir Mandon, you were her shield, Sansa's shield. Sir Mandon remained untroubled. When they mobbed the Hound, I thought first of the king. Rightly so. Like that Mandon Moore is true, like through and through. All he cares about is protection of the king because he's a Kingsguard. And so the idea is that Mandon Moore came up because Tyrion had been threatening the king and had threatened the king before. That Mandon Moore just took it upon himself, like this is a good chance to kill Tyrion because Tyrion is a threat to the king. But I think there is a... Now, the other theory, besides Sir Mandon being doing it on his own, is that in Tyrion 1 A Storm of Swords, and this afterwards, they says, what do you know about Sir Mandon? And Tyrion's going around asking people about Mandon Moore because he wants to know why Mandon Moore tried to kill him. And I think Varys says here, he says, Lord Aaron brought him to the King's Landing, and Robert gave him the white cloak, but neither loved him much, I fear. Nor was there any sort the small folk cheer in tourneys, despite his undoubted prowess. Why, even his brothers of the Kingsguard never warmed to him. Sir Barristan was heard to say that the man had no friends but his sword, and no life but duty. But I do not think Selmy meant it altogether as praise, which is queer when you consider it, is it not? Those are the very qualities we seek in our Kingsguard. It could be said, men who live not for themselves, but for their king. By those lights, our brave Sir Mandon was the perfect white knight, and he died as a knight of the Kingsguard ought, with sword in hand, defending one of the king's own blood. Now, the other way to look at this is that, okay, Aaron brought him in, but he didn't even like him. Like, why would John Aaron ask for Mandon Moore to be part of the Kingsguard if he didn't like him? So maybe the request was actually Lysa's. And if it's Lysa's request, that means it's probably actually Littlefinger's request, right? Some people pointed out that maybe the timeline doesn't work out for that, but we're not really sure when Mandon Moore joined the Kingsguard. And so there's a possibility, that, we're not really sure when he, let's see. Lord Aaron brought him to King's Landing, and Robert gave him the white cloak. So it'd have to be something like, because if Robert Aaron is coming in at, Littlefinger's not on the scene yet and doesn't have power over Lysa. But you could make the argument that Mandon Moore was a member of the Aaron's household guard for a while and then was promoted to White Cloak. So, I mean, you can go with the Littlefinger theory, which I kind of like because it explains, the story of A Storm of Swords is so much of it is about revealing that Littlefinger is controlling Lysa Arryn and that so many events are his doing. And so it fits with the theme of that book. But one could make the argument that no, the point of this is that no, Mandon Moore was a true knight. Now, Tyrion doesn't seem to believe that because Tyrion goes around and still keeps asking and wondering about who Mandon Moore, why Mandon Moore tried to kill him, thinking that maybe it's, Cersei's catspaw and stuff like that. Nobody really believes that he's Cersei's catspaw except for Tyrion, but those are the two. I would say those are the two major theories that are put forward. That Mandon Moore acted on his own volition because he's a true knight and was trying to protect the king, or he's Littlefinger's creature based on the idea that John Arryn brought him to King's Landing and he was promoted, but no one actually liked him. Who was pushing it? Well, Lysa pushed it. That's it. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. Which characters would you choose for an epilogues for books 1, 2, and 4? My idea for A Clash of Kings is Old Nan in the Dreadfort, seeing the start of Theon's torture. So this is an interesting question because obviously, like, not only A Storm of Swords and A Dance with Dragons have epilogues, and so if there were an epilogue, what would be interesting? Now, the way A Game of Thrones ends is pretty perfect with Daenerys's a story, but if you're forcing an epilogue on me, the prologue of Clash of Kings brings us to the Maester. I mean, I guess if you're forcing a prologue on me, I'd have to go with something north of the wall for A Game of Thrones. Try to have some sort of wildling out there who explains what those wildlings were doing or something in the prologue or something like that. Something that explains, I don't know, what they were doing, and then they would run into the others and the White Walkers. So you'd end with the White Walkers in that book. I guess is how I'd do it. Now, Old Nan being in the Dreadfort and seeing Theon's torture, that'd be it'd certainly be interesting, but you'd be spoiling Theon's fate a bit. I guess Theon is captured. I guess you could frame it like we don't know if Theon's going to get killed or whatever, or if the knives come out and it looks like an execution, but it's actually a torture. It might not be bad. Theon in the Dreadfort. Clash of Kings ends on a more hopeful note with Bran walking. But for, let's see, but yeah, you'd want something dark. And then for A Feast for Crows ends with Sam. But I'm trying to see if who would be just as good. That ending is okay. But it's nothing super fantastic. Finding out that Pate was replaced with Jaqen H'ghar is, it's okay. But you want something darker. Maybe Stone Snake, North of the Wall would be, again, I'd just bring it back to North of the Wall. You need something as powerful. The big things in the story that are powerful are the dragons and the others, right? So you want to focus on those. They did Lady Stoneheart for A Storm of Swords. That's pretty big. But I guess I'd choose something like Stone Snake or Benjen or something big for an epilogue. Okay, theory. Garrett was warged by time-traveling Bran to kick off a Song of Ice and Fire. Explains why he can't talk, why he's been so close to why he was so close to Winterfell, and how the wolf got there. Also very fitting that the story begins and ends with Bran. Yeah, I guess you're saying that Garrett's brain is fried like Hodor's, and that he's just kind of he goes along with the wolf and sets everything up, and that he's the one that Garrett himself is the one that planted the direwolf and the pups in the snow, or at least brought them through. Because somebody had to, like, there's so many things about like the direwolf that don't make sense. You don't know how much is George's error and how much is a conspiracy. The wolf is rotting in a cold snow environment with maggots all over it. Like, that doesn't fit, right? Like, you don't have like in a big packed around cold snow and everything where it's refrigerated. You're not going to have maggots on this like on this beast. And if you did, those pups are long dead. They have not survived. Like, those pups, I mean, how long, honestly, like, how long would a bunch of pups, like newborn pups, survive without milk? A day in the cold snow, a day at most. Like, so it looks like, you could say, okay, maybe it was all a time traveling Bran controlled Garrett who was like placing the snow, shoving the antler down the direwolf's mouth, doing the whole thing, setting it all up. That would be something. But how does Bran controlling Garrett is quite a jump. But man, I don't know. It would helps explain a lot of holes. I mean, either that or like, the alternative is like time traveling Bran like found a pregnant direwolf and had her like walk all the way down, go through the Black Gate, bark at the Black Gate or something. Rah, 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 rah. You're in the Night's Watch. Okay. Go through and then find a stag and then get herself choked while she's in labor. I feel like it's pretty, even that is really difficult to do. like you get that exact moment where she's in labor and then, I got to get myself choked on an antler. I have an idea for George R. Martin. He should wrap up 4 big battles in a novella, then move on to the rest of the Winds of Winter. Please tell him next time you see him. That would be something, right? Like, he just has a little novella, has it released, and then he can move on. I mean, he probably has the battles all finished, so you could probably do that. But he was at an interview like a year, 2 years ago, where he's talking to another author, and the author's like, so what's your problem? And he's like, well, I've got this book, it's about 3/4 done, and he's like, how many manuscript pages is that? And George is like, 1,100, and he's like, oh, well, there's no problem. Cut it off, publish it. Like, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, he's like, my books are never more than like 600 manuscript pages. What are you talking about? So. Hey Preston, what are your thoughts on Rhaegar equals Azor Ahai? To me, it feels like the most obvious interpretation of the prophecy as opposed to Jon. Obviously, like, Rhaegar himself thought he was Azor Ahai for a while before switching to the idea that one of his children was Azor Ahai. I think that, generally prophecy is bullshit. I don't think that there is like any like mystical Azor Ahai in the story. I think that, these are planted prophecies to make people like to cause trouble and have events move in different directions. So like, saying like who's Azor Ahai is like saying like who's the rightful king. Like, what do you mean? Like, rightful in what sense? Like, who is deciding who Azor Ahai is? Is there a god in the story who is saying that somebody is Azor Ahai? Who is, and say Azor Ahai is a thing, like what is making that happen? Is R'hllor a real entity? And maybe people think this is analyzing it too much, but George definitely thinks about like the presence of religion and things like that, and you can't just have an event happen. Like, what's the reason for it? So yeah, I mean, obviously Rhaegar, you're supposed to think that maybe Rhaegar was Azor Ahai. You're supposed to think that maybe Dany is Azor Ahai. And you're supposed to think that maybe Stannis is Azor Ahai. And you're supposed to think that maybe Jon is Azor Ahai, and all these sorts of things. You're supposed to. As part of like the scheme to keep the book interesting and stuff like that. But no one is Azor Ahai because it's all fake. Like, it's all bull. There are no gods in the story except for time traveling Bran, probably. Like, it's just, there. If there, I mean, that's the thing is, like, if there were Azor Ahai, like, what are you saying? Like, is there a god? Is there a god in the story? And if so, like, who is it? So why would they need to have Azor Ahai versus just like stomping out the others by themselves, or thoughts on Kentucky basketball? Should they fire Cal? I was never a big college basketball fan. I'm sorry. On the sports ball. I mean, I used to follow professional for a while, but it's been a long, long time with the sports ball. I eventually got to the point. I mean, March Madness is fun and all. Everybody thinks March Madness is fun. It's great going to a bar and watching March Madness. You can see a lot of crazy stuff happen. It's exciting basketball, it is, but I don't follow it anymore. And the thing with basketball is, like, when you get to my age, like, you've seen it all. Like, when people are like, oh my God, a half court shot to win the game, followed by another half court shot to win the game. Like, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that actually like a dozen times. You start, because there's literally 100 scores a game, you start seeing everything, over and over again in basketball. I mean, March Madness is really fun. It is really fun to go to a bar and, have everybody be really excited and see, like, because college players are so flawed, you see so many crazy things happen. So, in those games, you see like 15 seeds beat 2 seeds and things like that. Why do they promote the show as black versus green when they made the greens as unlikable as possible? Whitewash the blacks. Nobody's rooting for the greens. You'd be surprised. There's actually, I mean, you are right. I get it. You are right that the show they clearly made the blacks the protagonists. And I mean, they did try to repair Alicent. But you are right that no one is supposed to be rooting for the greens, but I do find people rooting for the greens. There are definitely people that are green fans online, either because they like Aemond or they just hate Rhaenyra or something like that. I mean, obviously nobody likes Aegon. There's nothing to like about Aegon, but there's people that are like, oh, I like Helaena, therefore I'm a green, or I like Aemond. I think he's cool, therefore I'm for the greens, or I hate Rhaenyra. What was she thinking?
This is something I put in my breakdown. Like, they really need a moral compass for the green faction, and it should really be Helaena. They should put her front and center to have you sympathize with that faction. They're probably going to make Aegon a bit more, because he was kind of sympathetic towards the last season, because like he clearly didn't want it, and then he's like kind of into it now once he has
upset
the power.
About how he was raised. He had daddy issues.
Right. So they kind of started doing that, and I do like how in the Green trailer he goes, "I'm as fierce as any of them." So they're not. This is not Joffrey 2.0. This is not Tommen. This is like his own guy. So we'll see what happens with that. But they really need a moral compass for the Green faction.
They had Aegon and Helaena marry because they didn't want Viserys to marry Helaena to Jace. So here's the problem with that theory is that Helaena is significantly older than Jace in the books. Helaena is she's about 21 by the at the start of the war, and Jace is 15. Yeah, he's born in 115, so he's 15. But you have to go back to like, okay, well, when is Helaena marrying age? Well, Helena's marrying age when she's about 14 or 15. So that's around 124, right? And so Jace is like 9. And so like at the time, it's just like, again, you normally don't do betrothals unless there's political reasons to do so. And in fact, I'm trying to think, when did she get married? Helaena was married to Aegon when she was 12, right? No, a year after her wedding. So Jaehaerys is born in 120. So they got married in 122. So Helaena was 13 when she got married, which means Jace is 7. And you normally don't do, and there's no reason to marry people off. Unless there's like a political, like burning political reason to doing so. And so like, like why would you push like Helaena? Like why would anyone be thinking like, oh, Helaena needs to marry Jace? It's just, you'd have to wait for her to come of age and then be like, well, we have this option. And so when that option came, when she became 13, they went Aegon. Marrying her to Jace would not be practical. Like he's too young. And I'm trying to think when Jace was betrothed, because he gets betrothed to. Jace is betrothed to Rhaena and Bela pretty early. I'm trying to remember. He might actually even be betrothed before I think Jace is betrothed before Helaena gets married. 117. Yeah. 118. They're betrothed. So no, I mean Viserys didn't want Helaena to marry Jace. Jace was already betrothed at this point. So Jace is out of the picture. Not only is Jace too young, but Jace is already betrothed. So you could go the other way and say that, like, you could maybe claim the other way that Rhaenyra didn't want Jace to marry Helaena, therefore she betrothed him early. But you can't say it the other way because Jace was betrothed first. He was off the market. Is Daemon's armor supposed to be Valyrian steel? It's obviously like black and cool looking. In the source material, it's not Valyrian steel, and we specifically hear about there only being one suit of Valyrian steel armor. And it seems to be like, oh my gosh, it's so rare and incredible that it must prove that Euron had gone to Valyria. So I don't think that Dave. I mean, unless they're going very off book, it's a lot of metal. It's a lot of metal to do a whole suit of armor, and it looks cool and all, but a whole suit of Valyrian steel armor, that'd be crazy. I don't think so, even though it does look black like that, right? Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Kat hears the knock, not a knock, when Lewin brings Lysa's letter. Does this insinuate she had pre-existing knowledge of the letter? I haven't gone over Cat 2 yet. Recently. So I have to I would think not, but she was about to go to him when a knock on the door. Oh, there was a soft... Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're saying here, but Catalyn softened them and seen his pain. Eddard had married her in Brandon's place, as custom decreed, but the shadow of his dead brother still lay between them, as did the other. The shadow of the woman he would not name, the woman who had borne him his bastard son. She was about to go to him when the knock came at the door, loud and unexpected. Ned turned, frowning. What is it? Desmond's voice came through the door. My lord, Maester Lewin is without and begs urgent audience. You told him I'd left orders not to be disturbed. Yes, he insists. I'm sorry, I'm going like line by line in my search here. Very well, send him in. Perhaps we should close the windows. He's just supposed to walk in, right? Oh, no, Maester Lewin was shown in. So I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what you're referring to with the knock here, but I don't think she has any pre-existing knowledge of the letter. Like, she was pretty shocked when the whole thing happened. We're in her head, so I don't think she's hiding anything on that. Lewin, there's a question of whether or not Lewin already read it, but Cal's buyout is $30 million. A lot good Kentucky could do with that money, but people who need the resources want him gone. Cultural, money, and dollars' impact on sports is intriguing. It is. I don't know. I don't get the whole thing. The weirdness of like the money and how it affects universities and how entire universities can revolve around sports teams that have nothing to do with their academics. Seems very, very weird to me. But some of these universities, it's like how they survive, donations from fans, people wanting to go there because they have a good sports team, It's a lot of corruption too, it seems. But again, I'm not huge on college sports. Oops, my particle accelerator stopped working. Better go undo myself. Fucking YouTube suicide censorship. This is the three body problem kind of joke where all these scientists their experiments stop working because of the Sophon, and so they get depressed and start killing themselves, but really they're not getting depressed. They're being led to kill themselves by the Sophon and stuff like that. Okay. No one notices that our solar system has no fewer than 3 bodies, and it's a lot more stochastic than and is a lot more stochastic than Homeworld. Yeah, I mean, somebody once pointed out, like, there's no way that if the 3 body problem world were as chaotic as it was, like, life wouldn't have evolved on that planet in the first place, so they would have never had a long enough cycle for intelligent life to then evolve and then have to deal with the cycle by dehydrating themselves. And if the only explanation for their advancement would be that they somehow were able to deal with it, but at the same time, like, not being able to deal with it seems to be a huge problem for them. So it's but yeah, I don't know if we know of any worlds that are hopping between stuff there. How do you think an American version of the Cultural Revolution would go? I mean, we have our own, like, problems with that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, Cultural Revolution was this idea of the elites. The problem with the world are smart people in the elites, and we just need to get rid of those elites and have them learn what a real good, honest living is. And you hear this kind of shit all the time from people, like, you need to get a job at a fast food restaurant, or know what it's like to be a real working man. You need to work at a coal mine, or you need to get your hands dirty. And you hear this criticism, that guy doesn't know anything, he's never gotten his hands dirty with a real job before, and that kind of stuff. You have these ideas about these elites at these universities. They're the real problems. They're the ones that corrupting our kids and stuff like this. It's the same ideas, we see them pervasive in America. Somehow the American version of the Cultural Revolution would be a bunch of people trying to make money off of the killing of academics and sending people to the rice fields. Somehow it'd be somebody would be making money off of that, saying how great it would be.
There's a bit of nuance to that, though, right? Can I ask you something? Have you ever worked at like a burger place?
I mean, I've never worked at a burger place, but I've done small jobs.
So I will always hate that boomer bullshit mentality, because my grandmother, as much as I loved her, may she rest in peace, she was kind of like this, where she grew up, picking plants and working on farms and stuff. In her opinion, like a job was where you get your hands dirty and shit, and like just you come home, you're tired, you're sweating, but it was a hard day's work. In her opinion, what I would do would not be considered a real job. In my opinion, it is. You pay taxes on what you earn. It's a fucking job. I hate that boomer mentality. But at the same time, I kind of get what they're saying. And my belief is, as someone who has worked in the restaurant industry, I feel as though everyone in America, for at least 6 months to a year of their first job, should work at a burger place or at a restaurant or whatever, to see what it's actually like earning minimum wage and having to fucking struggle. Because a lot of people out here would be making decisions very differently towards the common working man if they had to live that life for a little bit. But at the same time, everyone else has a different job, so there's some nuance to it, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the logic. I just find that in my experience, I know people that have worked hard jobs, and I know people that have never worked hard jobs, and I know that I find lazy people in among the people that have worked tough jobs, and I've found like lazy people and people that have never worked a hard manual job, and I've also met people that are massively hardworking who have never had a physical labor job, and I've met people that are hardworking that have worked that job. I've met assholes who are poor. I've met assholes who are rich. I've met wonderful people that are poor. I've met wonderful people that are rich. I've met wonderful people that are super smart. I've met wonderful people who are dumb. I've met assholes who are dumb, and I've met assholes who are super smart. I don't know. I honestly don't know. People kind of think that certain experiences put hair on your chest and stuff like that, so to speak. And and even for someone who has purposely thrown themselves out into the world to experience different things and have, but I don't know if there's really a systematic change to a human being from doing those sorts of things. I know with the Cultural Revolution, I've known a lot of Chinese people who were thrown in rice fields. Okay. They were, stripped from their jobs, stripped from the universities closed down, stripped from their jobs, sent away from home, and they were thrown onto a farm, and they were told to pick rice for a few years. And not a single one of them was yeah, it was really great. I'm so glad I learned how to fucking pick rice. Almost all of them are just what a fucking waste of time. It was horrible. It was a horrible fucking experience. My God, that was just dumb. And I don't know. If you had everybody work a hard job, they might just be wow, what a waste of fucking time. So I don't know. I don't know if it fundamentally changes people, but they certainly tried it in China. 10 years. Stripping people from the family, making them pick rice. So I don't know. You kind of run into these kind of things too. Everybody should, people that are everybody should be forced to be in the military, and things like that. There's definitely people that have those ideas too. Everybody should have, all people should have a certain experience. I don't know if it, if that's really a good thing, but, or if it really changes people. I'm not sure. But certainly the American version of it would be a bunch of people trying to make money off of it and scamming people. Regarding the similarity on appearances of Arnold, Karstark, and Theon, any plans on utilizing this creatively in upcoming Battle of Ice chapters? I think you are reading my mind, Heather. Yes, I think that probably in the Battle of Ice that there will be a fake out where people think that Theon is getting executed when it's really Arnold Karstark, and everyone will be fooled. Because, and it just makes too much sense, because Theon, Theon is the most important person in the world. Theon, Asha needs him for the King's Moot. Stannis needs him because he knows about the Dreadfort. Stannis needs him because he needs the Glover hostages. Stannis needs him because he needs to get Torrance Square from Cleftjaw. There's just too many reasons why Theon needs to be alive. They're just so many. But at the same time, he said, if I let Theon off, all of these Northmen will leave me because they think he's responsible for killing Bran. So somebody needs to die. Somebody needs to get sacrificed. But so how does he keep the Northmen with him while still utilizing Theon. And I think the swap is the perfect thing. Could Blackfish be a Littlefinger agent, and where do you think he will pop up in the story? Blackfish as a Littlefinger agent. It's a hard sell. That's a real hard sell with the family duty honor kind of aspect of the Tullys, and knowing that like Littlefinger's manipulation of Lysa led to her death and led to her, Littlefinger murdering her. I brought Blackfish back by like throwing him by having him show up back in the Vale. And I do think that makes the most sense. Like if you were the Blackfish, what would you do? Like where would you go if you were the Blackfish? Now, I think a lot of fans are like, oh, he'll somehow join the Brotherhood Without Banners, which is something that Jaime thinks about. But he doesn't have anything really aligned with the Brotherhood Without Banners other than like following a dead Catalyn. Would he follow a dead Catalyn? But why would he seek them out in the first place? If you're Blackfish, where would you go? You would go to the Vale, where all your friends are. Where you lived for a number of years. That's where your allies are. So it just seems right for him to show up, to go back to the Vale, which is why that's what we did in the fanfic. But no, I don't think there's any chance of him being a Littlefinger crony. It just doesn't seem. He seems like a person that cannot be controlled, and this is the whole thing about him being, the Blackfish in the first place, that he wouldn't marry who his brother wanted him to marry and stuff like that. So, oof. Oh. Is Jaime a victim of Cersei's abuse and manipulation? I think we're supposed to think that, yeah. I think we're supposed to think that, like, Cersei's abuse and manipulation over the years, like, helped lead Jaime to what he is. Though I think there needs to be more, we're supposed to think about that, but really, like, where's Jaime's accountability on that? This whole like, oh, I was in love with like this beautiful Cersei. Well, she just looks like you, dude. Like, if anybody should not be enraptured by Cersei's charm, it's Jaime. We're supposed to think about that, but at the same time, like, come on, Jaime should have his own agency here and know what's right and wrong. And accept the responsibility for his bad choices. I think like saying like, oh, like Cersei wanted me to throw the person from the tower or whatever. She wanted me to join the Kingsguard so we could be together and all these different things. Like, like where does Jaime's, I don't know, like, fault come in? Like, where does is Jaime just like Cersei is just this master manipulator, all the time? That Jaime's just as stupid as the Kettle Blacks, So I don't know. I think that you have to throw something on Jaime's plate. Battle of Steel is a weird battle name in universe. Well, it's not in universe. The Battle of Ice, Battle of Fire, Battle of Steel, Battle of Blood. The Battle of Ice and Battle of Fire, George once mentioned them in an interview, and so they kind of stuck it. And Battle of Blood and Battle of Steel, I just came up with them, and they stuck because there was no better name. Saying like the battle at Storm's End, like, there were other battles at Storm's End, so they don't fit. They don't. And the battle, the battle at Old Town, like it's not really at Old Town. It's in the water. So, the only reason Battle of Steel and Battle of Blood have fallen in is because there was no good names before, and I was the first one to kind of dub them. The reason I dubbed them those names is because in the story you can pair ice and fire. You can also pair fire and blood, and you could also pair fire and steel. Those pairings happen a lot in text. So when you say like in Essos there's the Battle of Fire, and then in Westeros you have ice, blood, steel, because you'll see those. Oh, they invaded with carrying fire and steel. You'll hear that all the time. Fire and blood, the words of the Targaryens, and then ice and fire, the name of the series, right? So, and then like why Battle of Steel? Well, Bitter Steel. The Golden Company, Battle of Steel. That's why it fit. Battle of Blood, Euron. I believe that he's going to, use the blood in the water to bring up Krakens. So, so none of them are in universe. They're all fan names. But I'm responsible for Battle of Blood, Battle of Steel, which they only stuck because there's nothing else. But I know it's for Bitter Steel. But the Golden Company has other battles they fought and will fight in Westeros. Battle of the Griffins. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's Battle of Griffins might work in universe, I suppose, what you're saying. That other people might call it that, Battle of the Griffins, when looking back on it. Yeah, that might work. But yeah, no one in universe is going to call it the Battle of Steel. No. But yeah, but no one in universe is going to call the Battle of Fire Battle of Ice either. Rank A Song of Ice and Fire narrators most to least interesting. Are you talking about the point of views or the book? The book readers, there's not that many. I think you mean point of views, right? There's a lot of them to rank, so I won't do them all. But I would say that Victarion is the most interesting. I think Theon is up there. I think Aaron is also up there. I think the crazy people are more interesting than the not so crazy people. So Cersei is up there. They're just really, the way they tell the stories are just hilarious and crazy and funny.
That's a good video idea.
Yeah, it is. And then after you go for the crazy people, then there's the people that are the most beautiful. So Tyrion and Catalyn are the most beautiful. Tyrion's, obviously clever. Catalyn is the most poetic. Barristan's pretty close to being as like Cersei's. And then you kind of go down, and the most basic, most simple ones written are Jon and Bran. They're the most straightforward. Dany's are pretty straightforward too. Sansa's are funny because there's a lot of like interesting little girly things that she puts in there. But it depends what you're looking for. I like the crazy guys. What do you think, Carmine? Who's your favorite point of view?
It depends. You'd have to go by book. I really liked Cersei and Feast. Jaime and Feast was also pretty good. It really depends. You'd have to go by book. I'd be down and do a video with you, ranking our go to that website, that ranker that tier list website.
Sure. Oh, I think I'm getting sick, man. Got this like horrible headache coming on. Had me cracking up when you pointed out Tim Pool. Hadn't noticed it, but knew exactly what you were talking about when I paused on that part. You have a keen eye. Thank you. It was just kind of a funny thing. I don't know. It's not like I watched Tim Pool or anything like that. thanks for the 3 body problem video with Road to Tarvalon. I'm glad you liked it. Your context on China was great, and I loved more on the Cultural Revolution. Yeah, it's So I for a long time, when I from 99 to 2000, I lived in China teaching English, and then I lived in Taiwan after that. And I went to graduate school, and I thought I wanted to get into like China policy. It turns out there's not that many jobs in that, but I studied for a while. I studied like everything there was about like China history and China policy for a while. And I do find like Chinese 20th century history to be fascinating. And so in a sense, maybe I enjoyed 3 Body Problem a little more than other people because there's this Cultural Revolution element at the beginning, which is it's a little funny because like there are these they go and they this physics professor is like beaten on a stage to death in front of all of these people for teaching Einstein's theory of relativity, and like. It's like, it's not that couldn't have happened, maybe because there wasn't control over every part of China, but it seems a little, it's a little weird, but it's like, it might have happened, it's possible. China has a very interesting relationship with Einstein. When I was a teacher, I remember I asked my students once who they thought the most important person to ever live was. And you either got people saying Mao or you had people saying Einstein. Because there was this real reverence for Einstein, and then for a brief period of time, they decided to reject Einstein, and then he was back, and so it's maybe, but
Oh, before you move on, since you like Chinese history so much, Kings and Generals, I actually watched the whole thing, has a phenomenal video on the rise of Xi Jinping and that whole situation. YouTuber Kings and Generals, definitely highly recommend. Very good video on that.
Yeah, the political sphere of Xi Jinping, you mean? I'm sorry, you said Jin or
Yes, isn't it Xi Jinping? Am I saying it wrong?
Xi.
Oh,
yeah.
Xi Jinping.
So X in Chinese is a sh sound.
Mm.
So Xi Jinping. First I was like because J is another sound. So I'm like, oh, J Jinping, like who's J Jin? And then I had to like figure it out. I was like,
at the top, the emperor, whatever his name is.
Oh, an emperor?
My God, never mind. Jesus.
You mean Christ, the president of China, or do you mean a previous emperor?
No, he might as well be emperor, but whatever. That's what I'm saying. Whatever.
Chinese politics is like modern Chinese politics is very complicated. Like even people who are China experts, who like study all of these people, like have a real tough time like figuring out how the Chinese government works with regards, because there's not like positions that are important, like everything's around, it's still based around people and like how much power a certain person has. So these people are constantly like forming alliances. It's not like they have positions, like they do have positions like president, vice president, whatever, but like the power of each position varies depending on who is like in it. So it's weird. Does he normally post obscure stuff like that? Are we talking about George with his post? Well,
yeah,
he posts all sorts of like weird, crazy stuff depending on his day. If he's like depressed or whatever, he posts stuff like that all the time. He's weird like that. I certainly would not read into words of wisdom as winds of winter. Because man, I mean, Karma, do you remember the 12 Days of Westeros?
That sounds familiar. No.
It's close. It's like 9 or 10 years ago or something.
Definitely not then.
George posted this countdown to the first day of winter using the 12 days of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like on the first day, like the Starks did this and this and this, and the second day, and then people are just like, wait, he's counting down to the announcement, isn't he? He's counting down to the announcement. No, he wasn't. He was just doing 12 days of Christmas for no reason, ending on the first day of winter. Like, so rare, like, and it had everyone was so convinced. They're like, oh my gosh, this has to be it. Why would you have, like, on your blog a countdown every day leading up to the first day of winter if it's not Winds of Winter? We all fucking went nuts for 12 days. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything. Who did Tywin consider to be his heir? Tyrion, Kevin, Tommen. Had 19-year-old, since Jaime became the Kingsguard, to decide or remarry, produce another heir himself. He wanted Cersei to remarry to have more kids. Tywin weirdly still considered Jaime his heir. Even though Jaime had renounced all lands, like he kept calling Jaime his heir. He just refused to accept that, like, because his heir should be Tyrion, but he just kept thinking it. And so in the end, when he does, like, die, it should go to Cersei, but there's Castellans in place, and so, like, Kevin was taking care of Casterly Rock. I don't know if he was never declared Lord, right? Yeah, I don't think he never became Lord to Casterly Rock. He was just Castellan, because Jaime should be the lady of it, but because Tyrion's been disinherited. But Tywin weirdly always thought it was Jaime, even though it made no sense. Only eat at one fast food spot for a week? Your pick? Chipotle. That's an easy one. Right? I mean, I practically do that anyway. So I avoid, like, gluten and dairy, so there's not that many choices I can do anyway. So I have, but I mean, it's a good choice, but I do Chipotle. But I eat a lot of roti or whatever, and district taco. Lyanna was kidnapped 10 leagues from Harrenhal. How was the only daughter of the Great Lord allowed to be in the Riverlands, not with her father in Winterfell? What was she up to? Tourism isn't really a big thing in A Song of Ice and Fire. So with regard to this, I would say that thematically, the evidence points to Lyanna being a wayward bride. We have in A Dance with Dragons this whole, like, wayward bride theme going on, right? We've got obviously we have Alice Karstark, like, riding on a horse next to a lake, and people think it's Arya, because Arya and Jane Poole is another wayward bride trying to escape. And then we have Asha being this wayward bride, being called the wayward bride when leaving the Iron Islands and such. And so there's this idea of, like, these forced marriages that people have and people not wanting to be in them. I think this idea of, like, a woman being beside a lake, like Alice Karstark, and being a wayward bride, I think it's cluing into that Lyanna was trying to flee from her marriage somehow. And she somehow is using some opportunity. Now I don't know, like, why was she down in the Riverlands? Did she come all the way from the north? Like, where was she? But it seems like she was on the run, if I were to guess. But maybe like she asked her father if she could visit Brandon or something and River Run or something like that, and she used that opportunity to escape or something like that. But I think that's something like that, and so maybe the kidnapping wasn't so much of a kidnapping. Um, you know that you know um, Rhaegar was protecting her or something from a marriage that she didn't want to be in or something like that. Um, Never said in the book it was a stag's antler. It could have been an elk's antler from beyond the wall. Um, the elk's antlers aren't broken. Now, here's the thing: is that the word elk has different definitions. Um, so let's see here. I know that Cat herself, though. What does she think? So she remembered that Catalyn remembered the direwolf dead in the snow, a broken antler lodged deep in its throat. So certainly she thought, because she thinks it's a sign, like she somehow thinks it's a stag antler. But like, could it be an elk antler? We never hear what kind of antler. You're right that we never hear what type of antler it is. You are correct. Certainly Catalyn assumes it's a stag antler, but you are right that there's nothing actually said that, and we know that elk do live around Winterfell. And do stags? Probably, right? There has to be a deer. So this gets really yeah, I guess because George is American, I don't think there should be a confusion to him on like the difference between a deer and an elk. But like, so I mean, you are right that there's no we don't know which animal's antler it was. Could be anything. Children of the Forest sacrificed men to make the White Walkers last for you to be humans. For you to humans. Last for you to humans. Oh, maybe it's an FU. Last FU to humans. I mean, this is the book idea, right? That they did that. Before the show came out, I was fairly convinced that it was an adaptation method, that the people north of the wall were like, well, we need to if things are going to be super cold, we need to have like a way to survive, and our way to survive is to like alter our bodies to become others, that they did it to themselves. But I don't know what where to go from there, with I guess D&D probably just followed the plot points. It's probably what George originally envisioned, though it's not very interesting, I think, to just have the others be all evil. What do you think the Ghost of High Heart's vision of the saddest sound was the saddest sound was the little bells alludes to? So the Ghost of High Heart visions are not very difficult, which makes like overthinking them like most people go through the Ghost of the High Heart visions and are like, oh well, that's clearly the red, that's clearly like Catalyn. And I think that so the little bells seem to be jingle bells, little bells at the red wedding. Now that said, I myself have claimed that the one that's supposed to make us think of the faceless men might not actually be the faceless men, but let me bring up that. Oh man, let me bring up that Storm of Swords for a second, because what happened there? Oh, Carmine, I need you to entertain people while I find.
What are you looking for?
No, I'm just while I find something. I just don't want silence, man. I just don't. I want.
Oh no! What are you actually looking for? What's
I'm just opening up a Storm of Swords because I'm gonna talk about the where is Storm?
You have it on PDF?
Storm. I do. I have all of them on PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Where did my Storm go? Oh, gosh, golly.
Can't you use a search of Ice and Fire?
Yeah, but then like you go like line by line, and then you're having trouble. It should be. Did I somehow lose it? I'll just find it online again. Oof, this headache's getting pretty bad. Oh, what you got going on this week, Carmine?
I was just reading the comment here. The green trailer was so good, I didn't even bother to watch the black trailer. Well, you're not. By the way, you didn't even go to the green trailer, did you?
I know. Maybe I'll do some later. I'm just so behind on super chats that it's like hard to get to it. All right.
Oh, this question. I always thought I meant the Jingle Bell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But could there be another meaning? And here's the thing. Okay, so I've got it up now. What? How did I not? Oh no, I have it on Chrome here. Okay, there. Okay. I dreamt a wolf howling alone in the rain, but no one heard his grief. I dropped a clangor and thought my head might burst. Drums and horns and pipes and screams, but the saddest sound was the little bells. Right? That just sounds like the Red Wedding. I dreamt a maid at a feast with purple serpents in her hair, venom dripping from the fangs, like obviously that's Sansa. And later I dreamt the maid again, slaying a savage giant in the castle built of snow, her in the Vale. Now, what would be the other option? Is there any other options for this? Like drums and horns and pipes and screams and little bells? The only other little bells you could think is like, okay, well, there's the Dothraki bells, but why would that be a sad sound? You know, or something with patch face, but why would that be sound? That would be sad, you know? So it's kind of the only thing that fits in this. And plus the other ones aren't really that difficult, right? Who is the wolf howling in the rain? I don't know about that one. Could be any. That one's. It's like, you know, I wish there was a more interesting answer than it, but honestly, like the Ghost of High Heart ones, they're not that creative in like double meanings. Storm of Swords was a quickly written book. How deep in the weeds are you with A Song of Ice and Fire on YouTube? How many A Song of Ice and Fire channels with less than 500 subscribers are you subscribed to? None. I don't have very many subscribers on YouTube in general.
Same. Also, this is the question I get often, and I'm not trying to be an asshole when I say this, but I'm sure you'll agree with me. Besides, like, maybe Glidus or me, do you really watch any Ice and Fire on YouTube? Like, we were just talking about with Trey, that video from Jose about the critical drinker, and that was a fucking phenomenal video. You sent me a video not that long ago about this one guy going into the mind of George Lucas with Star Wars and how everybody got it wrong. You know, it's kind of, I always tell people this because everyone asks, like, who are you subscribed to? Like, nobody. Besides Preston and maybe one other person, nobody. Because imagine you're a dentist, you work on teeth from 9 to 5. The last thing you want to do when you come home is watch some videos of fucking teeth, you know? So
Right. Yeah, there's a few. I mean,
plus, you know everything anyways.
Yeah, that is the thing, is like it's hard to. Besides like Dragon Demands and you and Glidus, like, who do I'm not subscribed to anybody in with Ice and Fire. I'm just looking at my list here. I'm subscribed to like 30 channels, and
Just
the
30?
only,
Damn, that's it.
yeah, only three are related to Ice and Fire.
Same here.
Yeah. Just
Dragon Demands, Mr.
You, Dragon Demands, and Glidus, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Do we even need to be subscribed to Dragon Demands? Because he'll just message me anyways. So I love him, by the way. It's just like I'm like on Twitter. It's another matter. I'm following like a bunch of channels that give me the scoop, but on YouTube, not really. Also, I'm not trying to be a dick to any channel in specific, but if you kind of think about it, and I'll even throw this at All Shift X, even he'd like some of his earlier videos. I don't know anything about his newer stuff, but some of his earlier videos was just him essentially talking about stuff that was on Reddit, like a lot of theories from Reddit, and I think even some of your theories as well. So, I mean,
yeah.
What are you gonna watch? You can't just find on Reddit and read for yourself in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've come across a YouTube video that introduced like new information for me. Occasionally you get a Reddit, but like the G stuff. But even Reddit, it's hard. It's been a long time since there's been a really good, powerful Reddit post. Like the Harrenhal posts or whatever.
What do I always say? Every time? Anything you can think of or write down has already been written or thought of by some random asshole on Reddit 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is probably like some frontier with Fire and Blood. You could probably write some stuff about Fire and Blood, but people's interest in Fire and Blood, even with House of the Dragon, people's interest in Fire and Blood is not huge. Like, you want to start like theorizing about stuff that happened during the reign of Maegor the Cruel. Like, there's probably hasn't been anything done on that, but and it's there. oops. Biggest takeaway from your college post-grad education. Where do you see the future of college going as younger people seem to be disillusioned with it? How will society change if fewer experience it? I mean, I don't know if that many people are really disillusioned with it. I mean, I understand. You hear about these kinds of things, but I'd like to see statistics like that people aren't valuing their college education, or that fewer people are going to college or something like that. I mean, I hear there are grumbles here and there about student loan debt, and there are grumbles about the academic elites like poisoning people's minds. But I don't know, like when you talk to like a lot of people with college experiences, they're usually even if they didn't really help them economically, a lot of people are still happy they had the experience. Like Carmine, you went to college, and your college degree does not help you in your career at all. But are you still happy that you did college?
Yeah, it was an experience. I feel like everyone should go at least 2 years. Go to community, do something. A friend of mine, actually, she recently graduated and got her, like, what's the standard first level, like associates, right?
Yeah.
She got her associates in graphic design. It has nothing to do with what she's doing now, where she's working at a bank, but the fact that she had an associate's at all in anything got her through the door. People look at that. Employers look at that, and they're like, "Okay, you stuck it out.
Yeah,
did something."
I mean, what worries me is like how competitive the kind of top schools are getting. My wife recently did. She was recently like a interview person, where you interview with an alum for her college, and the kids were just insane. They were incredible, the experiences they had. And she wrote glowing recommendations for all of them, and none of the people she interviewed got in. And she's just like, how's that possible? They were all so much better than me, The competition makes me worry about my own kids and how hard they have to get to work. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if people are I'm not sure if people are disillusioned or not. I mean, it's not that I don't hear those stories, but I still think a lot of people are very happy with their experiences. But if there were a drop off in the number of people going to college, it would probably be on the margins and not really have a very big impact. I mean, what are you talking like? Let's say there's a 2%, 5% drop off. That doesn't really change the world. The science of turning glass candles on with lemons. It was a lemon battery. That's the idea. This is from the fanfic. But like what was going on with the lemons? It was a lemon battery. So the idea is that you can create a circuit. And so when he was talking about a river flowing into itself. He's talking about a circuit. And so whether that was the thing that actually turned it on is ambiguous, because Sorella also gives him some psychotropic drugs before he goes in and things like that. He thinks it's the lemon. He thinks it's the lemon battery. But is it actually the lemon battery, or is it the psychotropic drugs and his telepathy? But that's what was going on with that. Do you remember this, Carmine? Do you remember from the prologue of the fanfic?
No, I don't. You have to remind me.
Are you even reading the fanfic? Are you even listening to it?
Everything you fucking said. First off, I don't listen to it. I read it when you send it to me. Number one. Number two, I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying because someone sent me this. I got to show you this shit. This shit looks. Just when I thought I didn't want to get another one, I'll get this one. I sent it to you.
They're sending you a picture of a kid.
No kids for me.
What you got? What you got?
Look at that. That's fucking cool.
Oh, this is a Fire and Blood, a hardbound. Somebody. So who's sending you this? Who sent me this on Discord? Who do you have? Who do you have giving you gifts?
No one's sending it to me. The link.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought you were getting this or something.
No, I wish. 57 euros? Fuck.
Ridiculous.
That's pretty cool. I like that. And then honestly, for the second one, it's like reversed. It's black.
Yo, really?
No. I hope the second one, when George comes out with Blood and Fire, if that ever happens.
He's gonna put
black fires. Yeah,
right.
It should be black.
So when gotcha. I mean, you could get. The thing is like, if the second one comes out, it's gonna be covered with all that pig shit. You know.
The what? The pig shit?
You know, the pig shit falling from the sky.
Oh, stop. I have faith. God damn it. You know why I have faith? Can I tell you why? Fucking Berserk, the one manga everyone tells you to read at least once a stream. Fucking Kentaro Miura, amazing author, dies. For 1 year, the company, out of respect, doesn't do anything. And then they come back a year later after the man's death and like, you know what? His best friend, before he died, Miura told his best friend how the story is going to go. The best friend is teaming up with his assistants who helped him draw and write everything, and they're going to continue the story. I have faith. Something like that could happen with George, possibly. It's happening right now with Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball. He had a protege, Toyotaro, who's going to continue the story with the assistants. It's possible. It's 110% possible.
It's possible. It's possible that, you know, you're talking about the having the James Corey continuation, something like that. But yeah, in the fanfic, Maester John turns on the glass candles, turns on his glass candle, and he may have done it with a lemon battery, but yeah. In episode 1 of House of the Dragon, King Viserys mentions the Ice and Fire prophecy to Princess Rhaenyra. Was this mentioned in the books, or did HBO do this to tie in closer to Game of Thrones? Thoughts? Huge fan of all your work. Yeah, no, it's a complete show creation. There's no evidence that Viserys has any knowledge of any prophecy. There's some speculation that there's some actions by Daemon that might point to Daemon knowing about the prophecy, but you know, you're in the realm of like theory crafting after that. But like in the show, they have it the reverse, where Daemon very clearly does not know about the prophecy and Viserys does. But yeah, you know, I think George has mentioned in interviews that he's now shifted to Aegon, the Conqueror, having these dragon dreams. And so this idea is, you know, later on these Targaryens have dragon dreams. We know that the Targaryens around the time of the Blackfire Rebellion certainly have them. So we know that like Aerys has them, and certainly Aerion Brightflame, Daeron the Drunkard, probably Egg, considering Summerhall happened. You know, you have all these Targaryens doing crazy ass shit. And so the idea is that they all have these dreams. So it's not much of a stretch that Viserys would have dragon dreams and believe in, you know, Azor Ahai or something. It's not too much of a stretch, but like there's nothing written in anything that Viserys has this. at all. No evidence whatsoever. He seems very uninterested, in any prophecy. Doesn't mention it at all. And even with regards to like Rhaenyra being like the show placing everything on Rhaenyra and him having faith in Rhaenyra, like that's also not really pushed in the books at all. Like Viserys has all sorts of different ideas about what he's going to do with Rhaenyra, and
So
things end
this
up
is
the way
there's a bit of so there's some difference in this. So I don't know why they went back and changed it, but initially, when Rhaenyra has her daughter and the daughter dies, stillborn, whatever. Daemon goes out to the beach and he gets on his knees and he's all depressed and stuff. Originally, that scene was because Rhaenyra reveals to him the prophecy of ice and fire, and he's so distraught and depressed because his brother kept that from him, and he's like all like, I don't know why they switched it around. Also, remember, George looked over this and okayed a lot of it, so it could have come from George later on, that Aegon the Conqueror, this was the plan all along, because George has final say on a lot of the stuff. Ryan Condal would not do that without George okaying it. HBO doesn't give a fuck. So it's Ryan Condal being a mega book fan and coming to George, and if George is cool with it, then
right. It's something. Look, it's something that completely fits the Targaryen character. To have these dragon dreams, and having it inscribed on a dagger and having this dagger passed down and whatever is, an invention of Ryan Condal. But this idea that the Targaryens have a tradition of this prophecy is not. It's not out of the realm, because all sorts of Targaryens did. So, Ryan Condal's writing something that's credible within the story. What do you think about Melisandre possibly having Davos's fingertip bag? What do you think? What do you think the plan is there? That's really interesting. So Davos, in a Clash of Kings, has this little pouch with his fingertips in it that Stannis cut off, and then while he is lost at sea, after the Battle of Blackwater, he loses them. And then weirdly, in A Dance with Dragons, Melisandre is talking about glamours, and she's like, you can do a glamour as long as you have like a little piece of somebody else around, some item of theirs. And then she mentions like finger bones, which, everybody, freaked out about that. Like, what does that mean? Like, does Melisandre plan on impersonating Davos at some point? She says, the bones help, the bones remember. The strongest glamours are built of such things. A dead man's boots, a hank of hair, a bag of finger bones. Like, it's just such a random thing, right? Like, it's so specific that that why wouldn't, but how did she get him? Like, that's the other thing, is like Melisandre is on Dragonstone. He is, at the Blackwater, he gets dunked underwater. His finger bones are lost. Melisandre getting a hold of them, it's out of the realm of like her abilities, but it's also just such a weird fucking thing that she said. But then also, like, what would Melisandre even do impersonating Davos? Like, what would she even like do with that?
It would have to be a very creepy end of book chapter where we think we know Davos is somewhere, then all of a sudden Davos shows up where he's not supposed to. Kind of like the was it the Feast or Dance prologue and epilogue where with Pate the Pig Boy?
Mm-hmm.
Where Pate's clearly being impersonated by...
Yeah.
So something creepy like that. I would love that. That would be great. It's not Davos. You think it's Davos, but it's not.
Right. But like,
Davos is actually really dead, but we don't know that yet.
But we're in his head, So I mean,
Well, no,
obviously we're supposed to
I
think
know that
about
was the
this,
point
and
of view, but maybe
yeah,
Stannis' point. Whoever's
yeah.
at the wall.
Obviously we're supposed to think about this, but like, I don't know logistically how anyone would get a hold of Davos's finger bones. Um, or what they would, say they did wash up somewhere. Who would have found them, and how would they know they're Davos's? And why would anyone want to impersonate Davos? There's so many little weird things like that where you're just like, where is this going? And so I just kind of think maybe George just shoved it in there to be cheeky and cause people to flip out. So did you ever accept Jaime and Cersei as a true love story? No. No. Never accepted it as a true love story. There's nothing. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, did I ever? Like, Jaime and Cersei, if we're going on the themes of where it comes from, which is from In the House of the Worm, where Annalyn fancies a girl that looks like him, and he straight up says, like, the reason I like this girl is because she looks like me and I love myself. He straight up says it, and it's very clearly he's supposed to be just completely arrogant. He's an egoist. The story is about his moral journey, and he starts out as an egoist and he becomes, a more caring, utilitarian person by the end. But the Jaime and Cersei story is that too, right? They only love each other because they love themselves. Like, Cersei sees Jaime and sees herself, and she loves herself, therefore she loves Jaime. Same with Jaime. So it's a true love story in the sense that they love themselves, but I don't know if they really like each other's personalities. They just look at each other and see themselves, and they're egoists. And Jaime's trying to break away from that, while Cersei's not. So no, there's no love story there. I don't think there's any. Now, I don't know. I mean, the show kind of made it into a little love story. Like, it was more, the show was kind of romantic about the whole thing. But I don't know how thematically it would fit, for Jaime to go to die for Cersei in the end. And we'd have to see a big shift in Jaime's character for it to become a true love story. It might happen. Say it does happen like the show. I could see George writing something like that. Like, I made a promise to her kind of thing. But I don't know. Very clearly their love story is supposed to be like masturbation. It's supposed to be egoism. Visiting DC right now. Can you recommend any karaoke bars? I every place I used to do karaoke is closed down, but I think there's still a karaoke bar in Adams Morgan. Musette? Are these? Oh, that's a private roomed one. There used to be a lot of good, like, drunken screaming bars, but now they've all gone for like Asian style private room kind of things, which is too bad. Like, Million Owls closed down, and trying to remember. They're all private rooms now. Man, everything's changed. American karaoke is disappearing. Oh wait, there's still a place on 14th Street, I think. Or it's not even 14th Street. It's like, well, it's the very end of 14th Street, I think. God, what was the name of that place? It's near Church Key. I want to say it's Costume. Crap, what was the name of that place? Not Church Key, but it's... what was the name of that bar? It's near Thomas Circle. You're at Thomas Circle. And I want to say... Is it the Crow? Yeah. The Crown and the Crow? I think the Crown and the Crow has... If I'm thinking of the right bar. It's weird. Yeah, but that's down the... I want to say, yeah. Crown and Crow karaoke. Yeah. Yeah. The Crown and the Crow has karaoke, and that's a pretty good one, I want to say. That's that's like Thomas Circle, 14th Street area. Random questions, man. What's your feeling on karaoke, Carmine?
I've never done it. Would like to someday.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
I mean, I sing all the time, so.
It's funny because like Western karaoke and Eastern karaoke are like completely different concepts. I'm of course like biased towards Western karaoke of getting drunk and making an ass of yourself in public, versus like Eastern karaoke is like you get a private room and you sing amongst your friends and they all clap. Do you foresee Elaine running out of her Tyrosh hair dye, revealing her secret identity? I never thought about that, about her like running out of it and not knowing what to do. Huh. I had not thought of that. By the way, I saw an interesting comment here that the sad bells are actually John Conn's bells. That'd be interesting. The pipers and sad little bells. Those are big bells, though, right? But at least it's bells. But I had not thought of that. But yeah, where is she gonna get her? Where is she gonna get her hair dye? It might be a problem. She'll have to shave her head. You know, because like Varys to hide her hair color.
An actual original idea I've never seen before. Holy shit, Heather, I fucking love you. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being serious. I've never heard that one before. That's fucking genius.
That she would have to she runs out of the hair dye and doesn't know what to do, so she has to shave her head.
Every time someone's trying to talk to her, she's like, "Oh, what's with that towel on your head?" Well, I just got out of the shower. It's like a Three's Company episode, just shenanigans, trying to cover the hair.
No kids for me, Carmine, circa 2024. Carmine's talked about this before. He said he's not ruled it out completely, but he has no desire at the moment.
Bro,
right?
I hate kids.
Did I get that? Did I get that? But you haven't ruled it out like completely.
Like, it's fucking annoying, man. There's too many kids out there already as it is. Gen Alpha can't even fucking read. Like, come
on. I don't think the comet activated the candles. I think it activated the black stone, which makes the candles work and maybe even works as a landline. So recently, G-Stuff sent me the actual original like drafts of the prologue, And I was surprised to find that there's more detailed descriptions of Old Town in there that match the World of Ice and Fire, including the Black Stone under the High Tower. And I think the difference, though, is in George's original draft, I think he calls it fused stone, and maybe in the World of Ice and Fire, it's oily. I might be wrong about that. But it's very clear that... No, I'm sorry. World of Ice and Fire says fused black stone, which suggests Valyria. But it does show that Elio and Linda had used previous drafts of George's work to put together the World of Ice and Fire. The fact that some of that stuff is in there. But it could be. I mean, you're talking like this is the theory that the fused black stone, or some of the black stones or oily black stones are actually like silicon chips, that they're actually like future technology. I mean, advanced technology, and that the comet like activated to turn them on. It's, and the candles work. I mean, it's all possible. Who knows? Okay, hopefully I'm getting to this ending here so I can deal with this headache and go to bed.
I thought you were going to say finally take care of the green trailer.
Oh, I suppose I should do that, right? Okay.
I mean, that's the title of the video. You don't have to.
I know. Mel wants fake Davos to convince Stannis to burn Shireen.
I love that. That's
very logical. That's very logical. I don't know where she got those where she got those finger bones. How she got a hold of those finger bones.
That makes it extra sad, though, because the last thing Shireen sees is not only her father there, but also Davos, who she thought was her friend. That adds to the tragedy.
So the finger bones thing, I could see maybe before Davos went to battle, she did a switcheroo. So, because maybe Davos didn't like actually look in his finger bone bag, and there's just rocks in there, or somebody else's fingers, that she did a swap at some point to get. I suppose it wouldn't actually be that difficult to get Davos's finger bones. She just did a swap with a different bag, and now she has them. Maybe, it's there. It's there. My buddy Amanda thinks Sansa warged into Littlefinger to push Lysa out the moon door. Should I ever put down? So it's not that Sansa doesn't have like telepathic abilities or like mental abilities, right? Now, warging might be too strong. Like, her going into Littlefinger's head or whatever, but like, there might be some sort of weird influence that Sansa has over people that causes them to want to protect her. Because we have seen just a whole bunch of characters become really kind of overly attached to Sansa, whether it be the Hound or Tyrion or Littlefinger. So it may be that like Sansa's powers have manifested into some sort of like weird like empathy link thing where everybody's like, I need to protect Sansa, and then it got in Littlefinger's head. However,
I have to disagree with you on that.
I know. I'm just making excuses here, but because it's very clear that actually, like the first time Littlefinger meets Sansa, he looks at her hair and he's like, "Fuck!" and he like storms off. That he's like, um, he would have had a plan to dispose of Lysa anyway, right? That Lysa doesn't fit his plans.
John, your friend Amanda sounds like a Game of Thrones YouTuber.
So
I always took it the Tyrion and the Hound as they see Sansa as she's literally innocence, and they want to on some level protect that. With Littlefinger, it's just lust. So that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Also, Cersei has more of a power than Sansa does. Pycelle and Jaime literally look at her and they do things on her behalf without her even saying
right.
anything.
And the kettle blacks. You're right. And no one's sitting there going, "Oh, how special Cersei is," even though she's the most beautiful woman in the world. But yeah. Or Dario fucking goes bonkers for Dany. Kills all of his friends, and he's like, "I pledge myself to you." Okay. All right, dude. So, I like the imagery of all the Maesters graduating the Citadel and traveling with their foot-long black mass to play with every morning. Yeah, I mean, I suppose, foot isn't very much, but it's still, everyone would have this, this glass candle that's all, sharp and razory. And, how many Maesters? There's 200 of these glass candles, 300 of these glass candles. It's such a weird thing. Okay. Don't mess with your head. Go to bed. Roll your hips forward and sit up straighter. Jeez, man, these things. Okay. I am. Okay. Time for the other trailer, the green trailer.
You literally don't have to do that, man. You can just go to bed.
No, let's do it. No, I'm fucking doing the green fucking trailer, man. You
All right.
You want the green. Is there even anything in it? Okay. New animated overlay. Let's put on the green trailer. Add animated overlay. Oops. And let's stop this for a second. I want to rotate it just a little bit in case. Okay.
You could literally just watch my video. You don't even have to have the sound on.
I'm just taking. I mean, this is your This is how thing is. I took your special trailers that you have doctored so that they won't trigger, and I've rotated them, and I'm going frame by frame just so I won't get fucking copyright. Okay. All must choose. Yo, really? Do I have to choose? Does everyone have to choose? Did the Maesters choose? Maesters chose none. Okay. We get Aegon being a dick because he pushed out his cloak, and only people that are dicks would sit down like that. Then we get and then he's on a dragon. He's going into battle. This must be Stoke with Rosby, Duskendale, Rook's Rest, Kristen Cole doing his thing. He's got his hand. He has the it has to be that because he has his he's hand at this point because he has the chain around his neck. So Otto has been kicked out. And then we see dropping banners. What else do we see, Carmine?
Alicent having more to do, which we briefly touched on. The one thing I find fucking crazy about any of these trailers is the lack of new characters on the green side. Not that they're going to have a lot of new characters in season 2. There'll probably be season 3 one. You know what I'm talking about when certain people switch sides. But for the most part, Gwaine Hightower and Alice Rivers are missing from the trailer.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I would have expected in the trailers, all the like Sarah Snow or Alice Rivers, some sort of sexual appeal because it's
Even
HBO.
Laris Strong, your boy, he's missing. He's not in here.
Because when I say sexual appeal, your mind goes to Larry Strong.
Of course. And the Lannister twins. They're not there either.
Right. Oh no, I think you see one of them. I think you see Tywin on for a second somewhere. So he's kicked out. Otto's kicked out.
Blood and cheese.
Blood and cheese. Walking through tunnels. Got to be blood and cheese. I think that having that bat over his shoulder, I think is from. I think that's in one of the artwork. So it's blood and cheese. He's got his helm. It's like a crown on it. They put it into so he can go into battle. Alicent being Alicent. Him sitting on the throne again because only. And then this is interesting is that they've got the siege engines.
The Scorpions.
Yeah. Let's see. To try to deter invasion, but of course Rhaenyra does it anyway. Must be done early because Cargill twins are there. And then looks like. See, I thought this was Daemon with that armor.
It looks like Daemon with the armor, and that looks like the Vale.
Yeah, it does.
Speaking of the Vale, you know who also doesn't get an appearance, which is kind of weird? And they really should have shown every High Lord of Westeros.
Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre? Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Do you know who's playing Jane Eyre, by the way? I forget the actress's name, but it's Mother.
Oh no, it's Mother. Yeah, it's Mother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, more of our boy Otto, and then I guess he's getting. Aegon is upset. I imagine maybe he's upset with I don't know. Otto? Is he upset?
Dragon appearance of Sunfire.
And then we have the more Alicent doing stuff when she, and then this seems to be the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Ashes of, and then we get the Brackens. So we got Stone Hedge and Burning Mill. Some fighting. See, for having a black trailer and a green trailer, like they put everybody in both. So I don't know what they're doing here. He's Hand here, talking to his hand. The effective king, Aemond, sitting the throne because Aegon is injured. Burning Mill again. Someone doing that coin thing with their fingers. Kristen Cole.
I'm assuming this is one of the lead-ups to Rook's Rest because he's wiping blood off his sword, and as he does that, some of the soldiers kneel. So he's doing an example, making an example out of somebody.
Oh, right. Like when they make it to Duskendale and start executing people and stuff like that. Stokeworth and any traitors and such. And then
to war then.
All this stuff of like her in that dream of the lake and her drowning herself in water. A lot of weird internal turmoil giving to Alicent because they don't have anything for them to do, so they're gonna have turmoil. A lot of Aegon in this trailer. And riding looks like Rook's. This is clearly, leading up to Rook's Rest and the Cargill twin assassination attempt. And then Aegon doing some walking, some dragons screaming.
That is sea smoke, by the way. I don't know why they put sea smoke there, but that's sea smoke. They needed a dragon.
Right. And that is it. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Was there a... Read my comment under Ross Temby's super chats. B1 BBS. All right. No. So Jaime equally the most beautiful man in the world? I think so. People should be falling in love with Jaime as much as they fall in love with Cersei. Certain characters do feel like act that way, but why haven't Maesters spearheaded written contracts in Westeros to establish rights over land? They can control so much, since they're the main ones who can read. They could, but like the whole thing about them being trusted is them putting on this bullshit of like, oh, we're here to serve. We can own no lands. They have to appear. Giving and selfless.
Preston and his Maester conspiracy.
In order to trick people, they gotta, I mean, it's definitely a Maester conspiracy. It's just what they're doing.
Preston, stop it! There is no Maester conspiracy, and there's no war in Ba Sing Se.
Right? Wasn't the thing about there's no Maester conspiracy because it's anti-Semitic was somebody's comment.
What? Someone said that to you? What the fuck?
No, it was not to me. Somebody brought it up once that they were sick of the Maester conspiracy because they thought it was anti-Semitic. And honestly, everybody's like, what are you talking about? There aren't any Jewish people in Westeros. And they're like, no, but it's like coded as this like big,
oh my God,
like, like the whole like global elite coded Jewish conspiracy space laser thing. Like but it's like any conspiracy is then like would fall into that. And so he's saying that like believing in a Maester conspiracy is somehow anti-Semitic because there's this big globalist Jewish conspiracy like anti-Semitic thing that having any conspiracy is somehow anti-Semitic. But yeah, this was definitely something that was out there. We need the brain refreshed, frosty, and full of creative for a while to come. Go to bed. Yes, I will. And hopefully I'm to the end. Objectively, which is the right side? Objectively, when you compare objectively, like feudalism is wrong, and they they're like inheriting like rulers is no way to choose a leader. Okay, so objectively they're both wrong. In the context of who's more wrong, the Greens are more wrong, so the Blacks are less wrong. I mean, clearly Viserys chose Rhaenyra to be his heir. And when you're comparing, like, okay, do I think that like males coming before females is something that needs to be preserved, or is somehow like a superior idea to a leader choosing a successor? Like, a leader probably shouldn't choose a successor, but I can't really justify like the whole system being like, well, the leader's choice is wrong because she was a girl, So, I mean, in that sense, it's just, the blacks are just are more right.
The who?
The blacks.
Ah, yes, them, those guys.
However, obviously it's stupid because, feudalism and divine right is idiotic, and somebody choosing their successor is also idiotic, and it's no way to have a leader. But you know,
Ah.
what you gonna do? Okay, last one, and then I've got to head to bed because clearly people are like, dude, Preston's like dying. Tom Paris joins joins Noi in Starfleet jail. Potential. Wait, why would Tom Paris be in jail? Did he do something in Voyager to we're talking this must be like Voyager, but like why, like what did oh, I guess it actually says that he was charged. He was charged with 30 days for being part of the Maquis. Right?
Oh, Jimmy said he starts the series in jail.
Yeah. Because he was part of the Maquis. Oh, and then there's actually an episode called 30 Days where he spends 30 days in the brig for disobeying orders. But yeah, should he could, I mean, I thought all the Maquis were they were all given immunity, or they were all forgiven, right? They're all to deal with the Dominion War and stuff like that. But who's Noi? Oh, Jenna Noi? Is this is she, I'm trying to think. Oh, she's from some novels, if I'm thinking about the right one. I mean, I think probably I just it's been a long time since I've watched some I mean, I suppose I've watched Picard, but like I'm trying to think like how into the Star Trek lore I am. Like it's been such a long time.
That motherfucker Jose that we watched, he liked Star Trek Picard season 1. I'm like, bro, really? Like, you ruin your credibility when you say that shit.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he also kind of defends Echo, which Echo's like, I understand like the points he was making about Echo, and like they were valid, but Echo is also a shitty show. Oh, not Jenna Noi, Nation of Islam. Oh, Starfleet Prison. Oh, I see. Tom Paris joins the Nation of Islam in Starfleet jail. Potential. I thought religion's all gone, and by the time
Jimmy, what the fuck are you saying, dude? I don't even.
Yeah, no, he's saying would this be an interesting story if Tom Paris joined the Nation of Islam? Usually, Nation of Islam is like all black guys, though, right? And like also like
Tom, I guess.
But like religion is all gone by this time. Like I don't think there's any Islam, Christianity, Judaism left, in Buddhism left. Like it all went out of style. Like they all became atheists in the Star Trek universe. Because everybody became super enlightened. This was Gene Roddenberry. I forgot Echo existed. Marvel's really losing its cultural dominance. Well, what can you do?
Did you hear that they canceled? I think we spoke about this with Trey. They canceled 3 movies. The next Ant-Man film, the next Captain Marvel, and something else. I forgot which was. Oh, by the way, did you... I don't know how old you were in like the early '90s. Did you grow up watching the X-Men cartoon, the one that goes?
Yeah, 97. I've watched some of them. I haven't seen
Oh
them.
my god, I've never seen any X-Men. I get to 97. Oh, dude, so good. I love Magneto. My god, his whole relation. Because you're an
Yeah,
X-Men buff, right?
I am. I read X-Men for many, many years. Yes.
I love Magneto's relationship with Charles. My God, like he even says, like I'm going to set aside my bullshit to lead Charles Xavier's X-Men out of love and respect for my friend. Like, yo, oh, that's so fucking cool of him.
Keep in mind that like well, there was this moment. So like X-Men 97 was born out of like the creation of as they say Untitled X-Men, the Untitled X-Men comic. So like there originally was the Uncanny X-Men, and it was just X-Men, but it had, all comics had the beginning thing. Like Fantastic Four has the world's greatest superheroes. Spider-Man had the Amazing. So, the Hulk had the incredible. So X-Men always had uncanny. It didn't mean anything. And so when we talked about X-Men comics, and even when they listed it in books, it was just called X-Men. But then they were like, let's do a second X-Men title. Besides New Mutants and X Factor, which already existed in Excalibur. And so they decided to do X-Men versus Uncanny X-Men. And in doing this, they decided it was like this big reboot. And they were like, we are going to take the X Factor team, which was the original X-Men team from the 60s, Cyclops, Iceman, Marvel Girl, Angel, and Beast, and like roll them back into the X-Men after all of these years, and then bring back Professor X and just have like every cool character that's ever been an X-Men be an X-Men again, and reboot it and make everyone buy. They released like 5 different covers for X-Men comics and everything. And so X-Men 97 is all kind of based on that like rebooted X-Men money grab that they did. And it worked. It worked. Like most of the people I know that are into comics today are like, I got into comics because of X-Men 97, so it was very effective. But then they were like, it worked once rebooting, and let's just reboot a million times. New number ones all the time. I mean, I went and I bought all 5. I have all 5 X-Men number ones sitting in a box.
So have you seen 97?
What's that?
Have you seen 97?
I have. I've seen episodes here and there, yeah. But I don't know. Keep in mind that like, I was in college at this point, and so there's less time to watch X-Men anymore. So.
Well, if you watch X-Men and Invincible, we could talk about it with Ness. Get him back on to do some comic stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Ness is really fun because he knows like the history as well. The one thing that's kind of missing from, and Ness is really good on his knowledge of comics, because like one of the things that's kind of missing on people's like that are super into comics is, it's one thing to like buy all the comics today and like read the wikis on like their histories, but like to understand like the changes of the history and like the zeitgeist of the comic reader over time, and like what a certain turn did to somebody at a certain time, like how a plot point like affected the fan community and what they talked about at the time, is something that it's hard to capture. And actually he knows about a lot of that, so it's just kind of amazing. So
well, watch X-Men 97, watch some Invincible, and we can talk about that stuff, because
yeah,
I'm down.
Give Press for Doubt videos a go, starting with Ashara. Crazy theories, but the video quality is extraordinarily high. What the fuck is censored now? Fucking Google. Let's see. Press X.
Jesus Christ. Super chats are now shilling out other random YouTubers? That's what we're doing now?
Haha.
Jesus.
Some people some people, I mean, people are really, really excited about that. Oh. Huh. Well, I don't see the Ashara video. Am I on his list of videos? But maybe he has another channel or something. But anyway. And anyway, I'm off to bed now. Thank you everyone for being with me. I made it through the headache and almost feeling okay now, which means I'm ready for bed. Carmine, thank you for being with me this whole time, man.
We're getting off already? The night is still young. It's like 10:15.
I know. You can go out and party. You're young. You can go out and party tonight. And
that is true. I'm 25. You're right. I'm young.
Yes. It is. Yes. By the way, my wife had this like work happy hour to go to. And so we went down to Nova, to Arlington, and went to this bar, and it was just like absolutely packed. It was this huge bar. It was absolutely packed for March Madness. And I was just like, oh my God. And I realized like I had not been in a bar that large and that packed in like 10, 15 years. I was just like, oh my God. Young people like to go out and socialize at bars. Who knew? It's crazy. It's very crazy. Very weird.
Is this your boomer moment? Holy shit.
Well, I think it was a bit of a boomer, but it was also a bit of like COVID, because you're like, whoa, right. There's a bit of that too. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? But anyway, all right, guys, I will talk to you later. Thanks for being with me. I'm gonna go take an aspirin and head to bed. Okay, later.